Yo, it's kind of 2 o'clock. It's a little bit before. I like to get these things kicked off before anybody gets a chance to go. But it is Sunday, at least. It's the right day. And so we're here with the Sunday service today. And it's about time too. YouTube does take a little few minutes to kind of get to grips of whether I'm streaming or not streaming. And then it says about connection. You just sit there like an idiot on your own. Notification on the phone. Congratulations, YouTube. You got your notification sorted out. So I got a notification to say that I'm live. Thanks, YouTube. I know I'm live. It is Sunday. Yes, the Formula 1 is on. Yes, there's not a lot I can do about that. That happens. All the audio seems to be running correctly. Everything seems to be going okay. Yeah, we're good. We're on. And you're all joined in already. And John Carney's already here. Actually, John Carney was on much earlier. 11:30. And said, hi folks, looking forward to it as kick off with the first car you drove, Bob. The first car I ever drove, actually sitting on my father's lap, was a Vauxhall Viva, which that was in the 70s. And then sitting in the driver's seat on my lonesome at about 8 or 9 years old, I drove a Mark I Ford Escort van, Integral. And that's where I learned to drive. I literally learned to drive at about 8 years old. Integral in Athy. Hello, Integral in Athy still exists. My father was there, and he had a work van, which was the van for driving around the factory. It's a big factory. Nothing. We'd go on a Sunday. Used to go to work with him, and on the Sunday I'd go and drive the van with me dad and drive him around doing his patrols as security guard. He was actually in the army, and then he retired into security guard. Couldn't get that job ever again now. That job would be gone now, because he was actually full-time employed by Tegral, not by a security company. You know what I mean? In a weird sort of way. I have been investing a little bit of time into TikTok. In case you're wondering where I've been on TikTok, I am there. Bob Flavin Official, it is there. I now have 5,285 followers on TikTok, and I'm answering questions there as well. It's fun, actually. It's great fun. It's a much nicer platform than Facebook and Twitter and stuff, where, if you say something that people don't like, they go mad on you. I hate you. How dare you do this and that and the other. Or, people go off and watch videos and find out, well, how come you don't have any penalty points? Because I don't speed. It's not difficult, like. Flavanite Disciple has landed as well. Good afternoon, everybody. You are all, of course, Flavonites to me now. This is stuck. This is sticking in my mind. Flavonites is there. I have to continue keeping that one going. John Carney says, good afternoon, folks. Great Sunday service back. What's your first car, Bob? My first car was a Datsun Nissan Cherry. A canary yellow, really bright yellow, slightly rust coloured in places, Nissan Cherry. But it had Datsun Nissan. It was at the point of history where Datsun was being bought out by Nissan. And so they had an agreement to produce a certain amount of cars that would have both names on it. So it was rare, and I didn't know it. I bought it for £100, like dirt cheap. It was a crap. It had a 1.6 litre petrol engine in it, but it was actually taxed as a 1.3. Someone had swapped out the engine before I got that. And it had a hole in the exhaust. It sounded like a rally car everywhere I went. It was actually a 5-door hatchback thing. Windy windows. It had a radio, no tape deck or anything in it. Very basic, but I loved it. VW Polo is very popular among insurers for the first time learner drivers. Mine is nearly 400,000 kilometres. I've seen pictures of your Volkswagen Polo, actually. Polos are really good. First time drivers get nailed the whole time. Do you all remember the ads on TV where the insurance companies going, slow down boys, as if boys were the problem, as if young men were the problem of driving? Whereas if you look at, statistically speaking, far more risky is someone who's very old. Far riskier. Young people tend not to be. When they have a collision, when young people have a crash, it can be catastrophic. And that's usually the problem, because there could be 5 people in the one car and only 3 of them are wearing seatbelts. And, the crash can be catastrophic when it happens. But generally speaking, young people are no more of a threat on our national routes than old people. And yet insurance companies continue to nail them with every moment passing. Hi Bob, I hope all is well in your world. It is. Will we see the Caddy camper hit our shores? Yes, I was actually talking to the PR representative for Volkswagen very recently, and it seems that we are going to get the Caddy camper. I wasn't expecting that myself. I thought these kind of weird oddball cars tend to pass us by. because the UK absorbs an awful lot of that stock. A couple of other things that have actually come out of Volkswagen this week is, let me just look here 1 second. Okay, so I have a little release here to say that we are also getting the Golf style e-hybrid. So we're getting that version. We're also getting the Golf GTE. So the e-hybrid will be a 1.4 TSI 204 horsepower automatic PHEV. Wow, that's a mouthful. Only 21 grams of CO2 per kilometre. WLTP range is 71 kilometres from a PHEV is a lot. I mean, a lot. Anyway, the RRP will be €44,000. After the government VAT rebate and SEI grant, of course, it will be 36,570 or 41,570 for commercial users. The Golf GTE, which will be pretty good as well, that's 245 horsepower in an automatic, another PHEV, 36 grams CO2 from that one, 52 kilometres range, and that'll be 49,830 or 42,330 if you get the grants and things on it, which is actually pretty good. Prices are okay, aren't they? I think that's alright. We're going to get good Golfs and still be PHEV, which is deadly. That's pretty good because it keeps CO2 down, which means we get cheap tax, you know. It's always nice to have the cheap tax thing. M. Jones says, last week you mentioned the Wandering Traveller, Gabriel. He does have a really good channel. Did I mention that last week? I can't remember. Yeah, I think I did. Somebody did mention it, yeah. I barely remember yesterday. My brain is so old and so packed full of social media video stuff that I just can't remember what I was doing 2 days ago. Eric Rotter is here. Come on, Eric. Afternoon, everyone. Well done on securing a sponsor. Yes, we'll talk about the sponsor as we go along. There is a code down below, and it is an app called Noah. Okay, and I've been using it on my phone quite a lot. If you're into the news like I am, and you're into a kind of podcast version of the news, and that's probably a good description. Dave gave me descriptions to talk about, but I think it's a bit like a podcast, and I kind of like it for that because you can listen to it anytime, anywhere, whether you're on speakerphone or on headphones, or you're out for a run, or you're in the car, because it works with Apple CarPlay as well and Android Auto. It's perfect, works perfect on both of them, and I've tested it in 5 cars now. Flawless. It actually works without Apple CarPlay as well. I have a Mini out there right now that doesn't have CarPlay, and yet it works fine. So there's a link down below to sign up for Noah, and the link will take you to a subscription page. If you take a year's worth of subscription, you get a 50% discount. Okay, so you end up paying 60 quid a year instead of 120. 50% off just from me to you. So please sign up. There's a link to that part that gets me a couple of cents every time you do that. Okay, so it's not going to come out of your pocket. You're saving. The normal subscription price is 120 quid. It's now 60 if you use my code. If you don't go to the website using that link, you just want to go to newsoveraudio.com, and when you get to the end and you're going to go through the checkout, just put Flavin in as the reference code and you still get 50% off. I can't do better than this, lads. This is like, how many things can I do for you? But yes, they are now this Sunday Service sponsor. Of course, it is open for more sponsorship. It's not forever. It's only for now, and it's really good to tie up with an Irish company, a news app. They're not in the car industry. These are all good things. So we're good at that. John Coleman, thank you very much. John Coleman sent me some money by PayPal as well. You're very kind. Thank you. You can do the same if you want to. There's PayPal and Patreon links down below. Or you can do it through Super Chats right here on YouTube. Or you can become a channel member like some of the guys here in the chat are already. Peter Cupid is here. Eric Washer says, don't forget to hit the like button on the way in. Boom! Hit the like button. How many likes we got? Where are we? 25. They've changed the screen. YouTube keep changing the rules. And every time they change the rules, we all lose money. That's what happens to YouTube. They've changed the rules again recently, and they continue to change the rules. Every bloody week I turn it on, they've changed something. And now they're changing the live stream thing as well, which is just so aggravating to keep every time YouTube, I settle in and learn how it all works. You go, no, I don't think I like that there. I want to put it over here behind a tab that I can't find anymore. I'm also working with another company as well on a super secret project where we'll be hosting the Sunday service in a different way. We'll be doing a dual stream. It'll be out later on this year, we hope. It's an app development system, and I'm working with them on the front end of it and how it works for live streamers and stuff. So it's going to be a public thing. People can join it. It'll be fine, and that'll be coming. When will I actually have news on that, proper news? Maybe next month. Maybe we'll have more news on it next month, or proper news on it next month. If you're over on TikTok, like I said, you can join me there. My God, there's more of you guys joining me there already. You can join me there. If I know you from here, let me know. Do it because there's millions of comments on TikTok. So direct message me there. Marty O says, good afternoon, Bob and everyone. Good to have you back. There you are. We're back for the winter season, the autumn season, whatever you want to call it. We'll do 6 or 12, between 6 and 12 of these, leading us up towards Christmas. I know, Jesus, I've said the word now. There you go, Christmas. What can I say? It's on the way. That's the best I can say at the moment. The wife and kids are off out shopping this morning. They asked me, did I want to go on? I went, yeah, no, I have a bit of work to do. I'll just do a bit of work, and I played video games for for about an hour. Good recommendation for special offers on Steam at the moment if you're interested in games. No affiliate links or nothing else. It's a game called Sleeping Dogs. I think it's a limited edition or something like that it's called. Definitive edition, I think it's called. Apps, if you're into GTA, Grand Theft Auto, into that, Sleeping Dogs is A-OK by me. I've played it to death. So I played it another couple of hours this morning for the crack while I was there, in between doing TikToks and stuff, which was interesting. Good afternoon to our moderators. Thanks for your service, folks. Yes, thank you, moderators. You're very good. It's great to have you. Just use your banhammer all you want, as much as you like. It's fine. We get rid of all that sort of stuff. Another topic I wanted to cover as well is grants for electric cars. Now we're going to come back to first-time drivers and how to get nailed along the way. But grants for electric cars, right now in Ireland, you get one grant and you get a VRT relief. It's called, right? So you get rid of the €5,000 from VRT relief. The other one's a grant from the SEAI, which is €5,000 as well. So essentially, you get up to 10 grand off a new car. Now, there's been discussion over this for quite some time. Obviously, the Green Party want them to continue. I've looked further afield into other countries as to what they're doing, and I've looked at a good number of different ways that things are happening around the world. And the one that we always get bet over the head with constantly is Norway. We always get pushed like Norway does the best of everything. Norway doesn't bother with masks in the street, and they've got no problem with COVID. They don't really test for COVID, but yeah. Now, the Norway model is actually quite interesting. It's not just that they give a grant towards buying the car. There's a pile of other things they put on top of that. So as a seller of electric cars, this is the best part. So if you're a dealer of electric cars in Norway, there's no purchase tax. There's no tax, no VRTs, no nothing to pay on top of it. It's just the car. That's it, right? That's a good one. But you get an exemption for 25% VAT on your purchase, right? So if you're a business owner and you buy it, you get 25% of your VAT back on that one. There's no charges at all on toll roads for any electric car. And I know we have some of that here, but it's not everywhere. It's sometimes they're reduced. Free municipal parking. So municipal parking is county council parking. So all county council car parks would be free to electric cars. Free access to bus lanes. I'm not really keen on that one, but it would work. I mean, taxis already use bus lanes, which I don't agree with either. I think bus lanes should be for buses and cyclists. But if you had an electric car, you'd have free bus lanes. Also, charging is still free in Norway, so you don't pay any money to charge on the street. And they put chargers everywhere. 3,200 chargers at last count, right? These are the little things we can take in. Instead of just giving a grant, and literally you give your grant to your dealership. It's what you're doing. You're not giving a grant to you. It's going to the car company. Free ferry crossings, very important in Norway. If you've ever been to Norway, Denmark or Finland or anywhere in that area, you realise that the archipelago thing is very important, and ferries and stuff gets you from country to country, and it's common to take them. We have a few of them here as well. There's a brilliant one down in Tarbert to take you across that. It's a really good little ferry, and there's one up there in Donegal takes you into Northern Ireland as well. So they're important. No sales tax, I mentioned that one. So when you're buying... how they fund, how that happens, how Norway is, the government is funding that system is quite simple. They produce a phenomenal amount of oil and gas in Norway right now. They are fossil fuels, and they sell the fossil fuels. They extract it as best they can in low CO2 ways they can, but it's still a CO2 fuel. They sell it to countries that want oil and gas, and they use that money then to fund the electric car race, which is why Norway looks like they've got an inordinate amount of electric cars on the road, when in actual fact they don't really. They enhance it in quite a bit, so they make sure that you have no choice but buying an electric car. Plus they up the tax on fossil fuel cars. They distort the price. A fossil fuel car looks really expensive compared to an electric car, whereas we do the other way around. An electric car looks really expensive in this country. Anyway, just mull that one over in your head. They're the kind of things we could take in. They're the kind of things that Eamon and Ryan could actually be thinking about, instead of going, well, you know what, Norway is brilliant, and I think we should start taxing plastic stuff, and we should put 2 cents onto a cup of coffee to pay for the tax or plastic or something. It won't drive up the price of the coffee. You mad? Do you know how much coffee is in this country already? Anyway, Mick Daly says, if everything was so certain as the sun to surface, life would be grand. You see, life is grand. Actually, life is... within reason. I think a lot of the lockdown has made us think in a very short term with a long-term view. So we're thinking about the next hour rather than what's happening tomorrow. And I think that's probably good, because often people get very, what I would call, het up. So they get a little bit stressed in their chest and in their mind. They get stressed about what could possibly happen tomorrow. And I think a lockdown actually took away some of that and started to make us think more about what we're doing right now. What we're doing today, not tomorrow, not the day after, just kind of right now. And that's pretty good. R1 IRL. Hi Bob, checking in from sunny Dubai. Dubai, is it dusty? Is it sandy? Have you got sand in your toes? What's the story out there? What's the weather like? Because we have essentially grey. We have various levels of grey. We've either got very grey or a little bit grey or a lot of grey. And then grey with a little tinge of blue sky around the edge of it is also grey. But essentially it's grey is what our weather is. It's like opening the curtains and realise there isn't any weather at all. Nothing has changed. It's not raining. It's not sunny. It's not windy. It's nothing. It's just grey. That's our weather for the last few weeks. Alan, no, I'll skip on there. Marty O says, I was hoping to collect my ID3 on Friday, but computer said no. Should be good to go for tomorrow though. Yeah, it'll be out. I know I was talking to Volkswagen's PR Paddy the other day. I had coffee with him, sit down and see what's happening with Volkswagen out there. ID3 is starting to be delivered, and believe it or not, this is a wild one for you. There's actually a bit of stock of ID3. If you wanted to get an ID3, if you wanted to go and order one today, they're actually stocked. We've actually secured a few extra than just the ones that were already previously ordered. So we're in a pretty good position, in fairness, now that we have a few ID3s here. I did tweet the other day that I think this is going to change how we approach electric cars. What's happening now with electric cars, when the big boys come, and Volkswagen is one of the big boys. Like, I know you may think, you may be slagging off going, oh, software problems and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? It's the number one, the biggest car company in the world that produces the most amount of cars. They make money, like they print it in billions and billions and billions, and they put it into their cars as well. So once they get involved, and once they have ID3, ID4, then Skoda will bring their Enyaq and all those other kind of cars that are coming as well. So you're just going to see this ramp up that will go on very soon with electric cars, which is pretty good. I really do think once we get to about 50%, will be the tipping point of electric cars on the road. 50% of the stock that hits the road being electric, or 50% of the sales of all cars being electric in Ireland, and we'll stop talking about them. They'll just become another car. It's still fairly remarkable to see an electric car on the road. And still, when you see a Tesla, it stands out a mile, doesn't it? As soon as you see a Model 3 coming out, you go, oh look, a Model 3. Good marketing, that is. There's Cross 13, haven't seen you for ages. Where you been? Willow McGregor, also first time here, Bob, found your channel via TikTok. Great content. See, TikTok people are coming this way now. Hopefully some of you guys will go back towards TikTok as well. I'd love to make 10,000 subscribers on TikTok. I think I'd invest a lot of time in it there. I've been putting up videos of the cars swaps and what cars I've got and what cars are coming, and then people start asking questions about stuff that's nothing to do with new cars. Amazing how many people ask about Toyota twin cams, about Lexus IS200s, IS300s, GS350s, all that kind of, those kind of Jap donut cars. Rear wheel drive stuff is pretty cool. Backroad TV, them escort vans are worth serious money now. They are, you know. And Tegral had two of them, a Mark 1 and a Mark 2 van, proper panel vans. Be worth big money. Those Mark 1s would be worth a fortune, but the Mark 2 would actually be worth a fortune as well. They're all the same. Really worth your time to seek them out, but there would be very few of them that, because they were sold, just basically sold commercially, which is very interesting. Just checking my email now, I'm sure I haven't missed that. Rishab says, which car do you have? Which car do I have? Oh, right now the current press car is a Mini Cooper S convertible, and it's brilliant. I have to say, Mini, it is the best car you produce. Your electric one is fine. It's fine. It's good. It drives nice, but the range is a bit short. But this little Mini Cooper S thing with the convertible is absolutely deadly. I love it to bits. I have to say, I'll really get annoyed very quickly when I have to give it back, which I don't think is until Tuesday. And next week I have a special car. Can I say it now? I think I can say what I have. It's an Audi RS7 I have next week, if anybody wants to see it. Anyway, Stephen Owen says, hi, homie. Homie? Is that homie? Yeah, homie. Oh my God, that's like 70s, man. Mick Mulcahy's here. Christopher Yarden. Hi, Bob. First time here, good man, after watching your Skoda Superb reviews. Yeah, I've got a number of them up now. I was actually talking about the 2014 Superb this morning, which had the split tailgate. Remember the one that was, it's a saloon if you press that button, and it's a full lift back if you press the other button. That was genius. That must have cost a bloody fortune to put in that car. But that was the Simply Clever car. That was really good and worth. Now if you put those second hand, you know, you could hold on to that forever. Get a DSG one. Quite nice. Derek Norris is here as well. Good afternoon. Is a moderator, will ban you at the mere smell of getting out of line. Barry Lamb. Stephen Nolan. Don't think you will get a car for 100 quid anymore. No, you wouldn't get it now. 1,000 quid is where it kind of starts now, and even then you're going to get a dog. You know, it's a strange place. You know, the NCT, which is a tax on cars. That's it. I'm going to get a t-shirt written up. NCT is a tax on cars. It's not a safety thing anymore. It's just a tax now. It's just something you have to factor into the price of a car. After 4 years, you're going to pay NCT, right? €55 and 25 quid to get it retested. But NCT did away with a lot of those kind of risky cars. And I know I've driven multiple risky cars. I remember working at a place one time, I can't mention anymore because it still exists. And they sent me off to get, with another mate of mine, another guy that worked there. We went off to get an old Post van. On Post was getting rid of their old Renault yokes, green yokes, and it still had a kind of shady on Post right on the side. But anyway, we had 30 of them, I think, and we were making kind of 20 good ones, you know, because they were wrecked. And I was sent off to get a car with no engine in it, no engine in the engine bay. Not that it wasn't running, just wasn't there. So it had a steering rack still connected to steering wheels, but I had no brakes. So we go over, and what's he bring to tow it with? A blue rope. That's it. We towed this car with a blue rope. Me sitting on a breeze block in the front of the car. I didn't got seats in it. Steering, going along the road, 60 mile an hour. No brakes, no seats, no nothing. I rear-ended. He was driving a Sierra. I rear-ended his Sierra a few times because I couldn't stop the thing. You know, nothing happening. Mad. But that was the kind of car you could get for 100 quid. Well, obviously one was properly running, but that's pretty much it. Which was good fun at the time. Now looking back at it now, I could have been killed several hundred times working in that place. But that's where I get experience with cars. How I learned to rip out engines and take apart machinery in general. You know, you get kind of confident with it after a while. Barry Lamb says, hi Bob, just bought a 640D Grand Coupe on your recommendation. Fully agree with you. Great car. You see, telling you every time, that is a collector's item. Particularly the last generation of it or the first generation of it. Either one. I think there's only 2 or 3 of them in general, but hugely desirable car still. I reckon if I had shares in BMW, I would be finished by now worrying about money. Because I must have sold a million of those 640Ds. Hellhound is here. Hey up, Bob. How's it going? Going well. Rishab says, does Paulo get a DSG gearbox there? Yeah, it's specable. Yeah, on certain engines, I think. But you can certainly have pretty much anything in spec. If it's in the UK, we get it as spec as well. There's a few yokes you get in a standard spec in Germany. You probably don't get here. Just checking things again, make sure I'm not missing anybody's emails. You can support this channel, of course, if you want to. You can do it by PayPal, Patreon, or you can do it on, anyway, there's a load of links down below. But the best way to support right now is to go to Noah, where you can understand the news, which is what I've been doing the last while as well. They've got some brilliant stories on Noah, and they are now the channel sponsor. So there's a link down below. It gets you 50% off. So 60 quid for 12 whole months, unlimited access to the Noah app, which is absolutely brilliant. You can, you know what I found as well? You can actually download the stories. Unlike a lot of the other apps that you go into looking and read the news, you can't download. So when you're in airplane mode, right, and you can't read these things, but you can actually download them off the Noah app as well. I've been listening this morning to Inside the Secret Life of, I can't even pronounce her name, Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh my God, she's got a wild life. Absolutely brilliant thing I was listening to this morning. It's amalgamated news, so it's not breaking news. There's no breaking news on it. This is a news digestion. So it's journalists looking around the world to try and look through whatever other journalist has done research, written up on, and they're making stories from that. So it's definitely worth your while. If you're even remotely into news, it is an Irish company as well. Lovely guys who run it, and they decided they want to get onto this because, of course, Apple CarPlay works on the cars as well. So I'm going to be featuring it. I'm going to be showing it off in a couple of videos when I get my Audi next week. Now I'm also negotiating a discount on a men's shaving site. I'll come back to you and leave that with me. I'm trying to get a discount for you all. They want to sponsor a video or two as well, but I want to get you a discount. I want to get you guys money off before I say yes to anything. That's why we went with Noah, because they give you 50%, 60 quid for an entire 12 months of news. Like, you can't sniff at that one. Christopher, no wait, no. Backroads TV, sorry. Seeing a Golf E the other day, I can't get over the idea of it. It's brilliant, actually. The e-Golf, that's the e-Golf, the full electric Golf. It's just a Golf, electric. And if you drive it really, really well, they actually go a fair distance. But on a commute, like, I would love to replace my Leon with an e-Golf, because you'd never notice the difference. You just drive to and from, because that car does such little mileage. An e-Golf would work for us perfectly. Christopher Yarden, when are you going to get a chance to do the Skoda Enyaq review now that it has officially been launched? It hasn't officially been launched at all, actually. Those old preview videos you see where the lad's standing beside the thing and they're going, this is the new Enyaq. That car is not driven. It's just sitting on a plinth. They are reading, and I think it needs to end, actually, because it completely distorts. I know it's good for marketing, but actually it kind of distorts the car itself, because there's no driving on those events. It's a car in a room. They get 10 minutes to kind of record their piece, and the piece gets sent out to them. And it's like these chosen, I hesitate to say, but like non-critical sort of reviews. You know, there's no sort of criticizing because they haven't driven anything. So it's like a reward system for the friends of the car companies to get those things. So it's not actually launched. Nobody's driven it yet. That won't be launched, I don't think, till after ID4. I would suspect later this year, probably early next year. But like, I don't go to those singular events. I don't mind world premieres; they're pretty good. But unless I can drive it, video is just an opinion of how it looks to be cool. You know, look at me. I'm at the top of my game. Look at this car, so cool. That's it. It's like, what does that mean? What good? What are you doing that benefits the consumer? What are you giving the consumer here that they wouldn't get by just looking at a video that Skoda released on their own? Just an opinion, don't get offended, okay? Calinut says, hi Bob, you said that the Peugeot E208 is the best EV today. That was the day I launched it, yeah. But in Germany, you can get a minimum, I'm not in Germany though, you can get a minimum 10 months if you order it. That's not anymore today, it is tomorrow. Peugeot does not want to sell EVs. Well, you see, okay, so let's discuss that for a second, because there's a number of factors that's pushing that order lead time on EVs, okay? And it's a scary sort of situation because, oh, right, this is going to upset a lot of people really quickly. The 95 grams of CO2 issue is a problem that the EU has created. So every car company has to emit a maximum of 95 grams of CO2 across their fleet, right? So it's called the fleet. So every car that they launch, the average CO2 emissions of the company has to be 95. Not 94, not 96, 95. If it's 96, they get a fine. If it's 94, next year they have to reach that 94 again. So they have to do it again, right? So the electric cars are counted as 0. So when you want to get an average of 95 across your fleet, you can't sell too many electric cars because your average starts to fall. It's like a conspiracy theory here, but this is how it works. So you don't want to go below 95. So they stop. They choke the amount of electric cars that they'll actually manufacture and sell. That's the first part. Second part is getting the batteries, getting the equipment, getting the precious metals, getting the lithium ion, getting the stuff from Korea, from LG, from where else did I look up today as well? There's so many different ones, all the manufacturers of lithium ion. So extracting that lithium ion, getting all that stuff has to be done as well, and only a certain amount of companies actually control that, and car companies are not them. Car companies don't make batteries, particularly LG would be the biggest one. The one in Korea would be probably the biggest one on the earth of making lithium ion batteries. And so everybody is in a queue to buy enough lithium ion batteries from LG and from wherever their sources are to get the rest of them on the road. And that is why you have a long lead time for an E208 and a very short lead time for a petrol or a diesel version of the same car, because those two cars are made in Peugeot, whereas the battery isn't. I hope I haven't stirred up an entire group of conspiracy theories out there, because that's all factually correct. Anyway, Stephen Gorman. Hi Bob, what do you think of the 2012 Citroen DS5? Great car, but it's a Citroen. And Citroens, they're not bad cars. They're not unreliable. They have good engines because they get Peugeot PSA engines that are in them. So the engines are okay. Citroens tend to have some electrical issues. They also tend to do problems with suspension, and depending on the kind of suspension you put in, if you put the pneumatic suspension or the air suspension in, they can be quite hard. Citroens are visually beautiful cars, but over time they don't stand up well, and that is basically French cars in a nutshell. And I'm not against French cars, but French cars never seem to have the longevity. Spend tomorrow looking around how many old French cars are on the road, and I mean 2008, 2009, even 2006. Go back a bit, just look around, see how many French brands have survivals versus German cars or Spanish cars, or those kind of cars are on the edge. French cars don't have good longevity, so be very wary of buying into Citroen unless it's cheap. Alan Burke, Bob, do you remember the state of the cars were in before the NCT came out? More bangers around. Absolutely, there was, yeah, for sure, but the NCT has done its job. Those bangers are gone. We're all in the system of looking after our new cars, and the NCT has caused cars to be recycled, scrapped all the time. We do it every once in a while. We just kind of scrap stuff the whole time, and that's kind of what we're at when it comes to this NCT effort. Whereas with the old system we had before NCT, you were allowed to drive whatever you wanted to drive, right? There were nightmares. You'd carpet coming out of the bloody canvas showing on the tyres and everything. It was an awful cars we had before. But NCT, if you just count as a tax, we should include it. When we're talking about cars, we talk about second-hand cars, we should include the fact we'd spend €55 a year plus running repairs on cars. And in the NCT, there's no governance, there's no cameras, there's no recording facility. So if an NCT tester gets into your car and revs it up to 9,000 RPM and just holds it there until it bursts, there's nothing you can say to them. Nothing. You're not allowed to film them, you're not allowed to take pictures, you're not allowed to ask questions. They come out, they hand you the keys and go, that's broke, it's failed. And they walk off back inside, and that's it. So the car is your problem. So, and all that money, by the way, is Appliance Plus, which is a Spanish company. We need to take this back in. We need to have more of an MOT system over here, or we need to have more of a CRVT system, which is a commercial version, which is done by registered places, CRVT places. You drive your commercial vehicle there, you give it to them, they put it through, they go, it's failed on this, we'll fix it, they fix it, and they hand the car back to you. Fixed. Done. End of story. Not hard. We could do the same thing with the NCT, but instead we have these horrible gulag centres. You ever sat in one for 10 minutes? You go inside. I know this because we just did the NCT again for my car and we passed. I sit inside this grimy hole of a place while we hand over the keys to some guy I've never met before. He goes in and drives my car into the ground, hands it back to me and goes, yeah, that passed. And now I just know it's been revved to bits. Now, I'm not against NCT people in general, but it could be done in a much better, fairer and obvious way. And like allowing little old dears on the road, that woman that was with me in the NCT centre was terribly nervous, very scared. Her little starlet who does 0 miles, little brown starlet like a nun would drive, does 0 miles, and that has to be revved to bits as well, Anyway, Stephen Nolan says, I'm only 7 hours rant. Anyway, I'm only 17. What's the best car to buy? I want to buy a caddy van for €1,000. Caddy van, the problem is you can only commercially tax and insurance the caddy van. I don't think you can do it as a personal vehicle, and if you could, it'd probably be really expensive, Stephen. You're going to have to go the car route. Because insurance companies are a rip-off in this country and they get to charge whatever the hell they want to charge, they'll see you as a nice soft target, and they're going to charge you $2,000 to $2,500 on the first time you get insurance. And unfortunately, we all had to go through it at some point or another. It's not that long ago that insurance companies in this country were raided by the EU, and nothing came in that one, of course. But Stephen, the only hope you have, a caddy van is brilliant and would work absolutely perfectly for you because you have great fun. You can put a bed in the back of it. You can do whatever you want with the bloody thing. You know, it's deadly. But you really need to check out your insurance for sure to see how much that's going to be. Tax, don't worry about that part. Peter Ucart is here. Good to see you, Bob. Thank you very much. You're very good on Twitter as well, by the way. GP O'Rourke says, Bob, why do you get so annoyed and rude when people criticize you on YouTube? Surely you're entitled to disagree. Your review on a new Leon was scathing, yet you recommended weird. Relax now. I don't understand what that's about, but it's my channel, so it's my rules. That's how it works. I have been doing the scathing thing for years. Loads. You've no idea how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments I get per week. And if you go across all the social media between Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, just emails, phone calls, texts, WhatsApps, just keep going. Millions of them. When one person comes on and goes, this is rubbish, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I have done this for years. I go onto the channel and I give them hell straight away. Just because I can, because it's my channel and I control it and it's entirely mine from start to finish. There's no advertising. I don't ask people for advertising. I don't go after car companies or get paid by car companies. I'm one of the very few in the country who actually just independently reviews everything. So if you don't like the idea of how I behave against people when they're talking about the reviews, if they're wrong, I'm entitled to an opinion as well, and it is my opinion. If they don't like it, then unsubscribe and go somewhere else. The door is open. Don't let it hit you in the arse on the way out. That's how it works around here. It's worked like that for 10 years now. I don't take fools lightly. But generally, I let people just chat away and comment away all to themselves. I don't really care what to say one or the other. Even if they don't like me, it doesn't really matter. It's not a problem. But don't expect to attack or let anyone attack me or my channel without me defending it. I could just ban people. I could just remove their comment and ban them. But that's an easy way out. I prefer to argue first. Liam O'Connor says, hi Bob, in the market for a luxury... By the way, it's stuff I'd say straight to people's face as well. Just as quick. No problem with that. Hi Bob, in the market for a luxury cruiser. I'm in my 50s now and have a pretty sizable budget. What would you recommend? How sizable a budget have you got? I mean, are we Bentley money here? We're talking about? Do you want a cruiser? You know, do you want something like an AMG E-Class, or would you prefer to have something more S? The S Coupe is pretty good as a cruiser, but it's within a reasonable budget. Or you could go way beyond that, go off into Range Rover Vogue territory, or keep going up again for Bentley for $250,000, maybe $500,000. How much you got? Go. And could you make a donation to the kitty that is Bob Flavin? That's if you have a good sizable budget, nothing like it by. Carlin Harangus, that is an unusual name, has made a donation. Thank you very much to the donation of the Sunday service donation kitty. Thank you very much. You're very kind. I've never seen your name pop up before. That's why I'm very curious now as to who you are. Because I normally know nearly pretty much every name that comes up on the screen. Now there's a few new ones there today. Yeah, Stuart McHugh says, knowing Bob is doing the Sunday service means he's not replying on TikTok right now, so I can relax and stop replying to the replies. Stuart. It's the gas how many replies I got in. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I actually got 3,500 new subscribers in the last 24 hours on TikTok. That's how that's worked. And another 36 in the last 5 minutes. Because it's mental. It's absolutely mental. 5,319 currently this moment. Dynamic Frame says, electric car grants are just for the manufacturer's excuse to bump up the price, same as the government scheme for the first time house buyers, so we all end up paying more. Yeah, I wouldn't be far off that, to be honest with you. Basically, it's a tax on everybody to fund electric cars. That's where the grant is coming from. Your taxes that you pay, it comes from the government. So essentially, even if you're not in the market, but even if you're riding a bicycle, even if you're doing nothing outside, you're riding a horse if you want to, you're paying a little bit of tax towards everybody's electric car, which is essentially being given to the car companies. It's not really, now look, when incentives are gone, your man from Peugeot, the MD of Peugeot, summed it up pretty well. What he said was, when the incentives are taken away, electric car sales fall through the floor. And he meant that because in a number of countries that this has been rolled out on, some of the stuff has rolled back. So some of those grants have gone away. And when they go away, the sales fall away very, very quickly because the car becomes very expensive. Imagine going into a Hyundai dealership and going, I want a Kona, how much is it? And the man says €49,000. You go, okay, well, I can have an Audi A4 for that. Like, your brain starts to freak out. Bob, you're some man, says Paul Sheehan. Thanks, Paul. You are too. Annie McPhee says, hi, all 8 minutes late. Did you bring a note from your mammy? Tell you why you should be late. Paul Sheehan has put up a loading thing. I don't know how you even do that, Paul. How do you do that? Dylan Durbin, incentives like free stuff and access to bus lanes are not scalable. The more you do it, you can't. The more you do it, you can't. I know what you mean. Yeah, you can't scale up. Of course, once we have 2.5 million cars on the road, can you imagine if 2.5 million of them were electric and all of them were able to use the bus lanes? It's a bit of an issue there, right? And of course, the way Stockholm and generally Sweden is laid out, or Norway's laid out. It's an unusual layout of a country, and it's very long, and an awful lot of it's unpopulated towards the top. So a lot of them live in cities, and we're the same here. A lot of us live in the city, live in Dublin particularly. But generally, when a rule comes out in Ireland or a law changes, whatever, it's a law that changes to suit Dublin rather than to suit the country, you know. And there's a rural Ireland. I don't know. You hear these guys, rural Ireland's in trouble, but actually, rural Ireland is disappearing right before your very eyes, and I really do mean that. If you stray away from anywhere that isn't tourist, like go to Doolin. And it's made to look like rural Ireland. It's gorgeous, little beautiful thing, multicoloured place. You get ferries and big car parks and everything out there. But actually, if you go somewhere that isn't a tourist destination and look at it, it's empty. It's barren. The pub is shut. The shop is shut. If there was ever a shop in a place, even the bleeding church is shut. You know, you see them now, and that's rural Ireland. It's disappearing right in front of our faces. Right now, it is disappearing, and we'll never get it back, guys. Now, just the same as the Irish language now was robbed from us. We'll never get that back to 100%. We should all be speaking the Irish language, the Gaelic language, perfectly here, but we don't, and we should be. And I'm just as bad. I don't get it. But you could incentivize more free stuff. You really could. You could get more stuff to go for electric cars. You really want to encourage them. I really think we should be encouraging electric scooters, electrically assisted bicycles. We should be getting people into the mindset of plugging things in and charging. I have an electric scooter downstairs. It's brilliant for zipping down to the shops and back. It's just an awful hard thing to park, as you can't lock it. You can't put a chain through it anywhere. So you end up kind of carrying it into shops and stuff with you. 1791 Cram. That's an unusual username. Do you think an EV point for a superb IV is worth the cost? 4-hour charge versus 6-hour charge? Not really. But you know, charging from a 3-pin plug is not necessarily the safest thing to do for a bigger battery car. So, you know, future-proof yourself. You could get a grant. The problem is in Ireland, has that changed, by the way? Do you still have to have an order number for an electric car to get a grant for a charger put into your house? Is that still a thing? I don't know if it was, but I don't know if it still is. It shouldn't be. It's thick. We should all just get a bloody charger put into the house and be done with it. But not for a Skoda Superb plug-in hybrid, unless you want to, the most expensive car I had here on electricity has been a PHEV, because you got to plug it in all the time. To make the best of it, it's got to be plugged in every time you pull up, because it's only got 40 to 50 kilometers range. So, you know, you're always plugging the thing in and plugging it out. So you're probably better off getting a proper charger to do that with, but you could get away with a 3-pin plug granny cable style, yeah. Maminsk is here. Bob, with manufacturers adding more fake parts like air vents and exhaust tips, why aren't they doing fake grills on the front of electric cars to break up the likes of the duckbill front on the Tesla Model 3? Tesla Model 3 styling is offensive, borderline offensive. It really isn't that nice. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant car, and I think I'd probably get used to the styling, but the styling is actually kind of weird looking. They don't need to have a grill, and studies would suggest that people who buy electric cars tend to like the idea of driving something that's a little bit less of a normal car and more of a sort of obviously electric car. So there is an element of electric cars being designed to look electric, to look like they're one of those kind of cars. Sean Murray, hi Bob, even with the grants, electric cars are way too expensive. They are still, yeah, of course they are. Even with grants, there's still 10 grand between some of the cars being ICE petrol basic end to being the first electric, because usually electric cars are really specced up, you know, they put everything into them, active cruise control, and they're all automatic obviously, you know, and they put in nice seats and LED headlamps, so there's a lot of options in them that would be optional on other cars are in as standard, but still they come across as being just massive investments. You will never, I don't think, unless you drive a phenomenal amount of mileage per week, if you're replacing a second car with a brand new electric car, the gulf of cost between buying an ICE versus electric car you will never see again. That 10 grand or 8 grand or whatever it is between the two cars, you will never make that back in the lifetime of the car. Plus, I came across a little article this morning. It was written in December 2019 in Forbes. And in it says the lifetime of a battery is measured in discharge cycles. Using 100% of the battery's charge amounts to one full cycle, with a typical 100 kilowatt lithium ion battery found in the Tesla Model S providing only 1,000 to 2,000 discharge cycles. Current battery tech remained impractical and uneconomical for commercial long distance drivers. So if they already knew that in 2019, that there's 1,000 to 2,000 discharge cycles before the battery would have to be recycled and a new one put in, has anybody reached that? Has any Model S actually reached that and had their battery replaced? Just wondering. I was only browsing along this morning. You know, one of those kind of Google moments where you're clicking on things, you go, oh, what's that article about now? By the way, Noah, which is our channel sponsor, is great guys. They do brilliant articles, which I will be linking on my Twitter over the next while on car stuff. So things that relate to the car industry, they're very good at it. They, again, analyse the news and pull it out. You should subscribe. I have you 50% discount, which is €60 for 12 months of news through your audio ear holes. So you put your headphones in and listen to it. Listen to it on the bus, on a train, on your Apple CarPlay. You know, it's brilliant. It's moderated. It's professional journalism, real journalism that you're funding as well. So, you know, get a hold of it. And the audio is really crisp, I have to say. Very good. Cross says Norway has progressively removed some of the EV incentives and approached 500,000 EVs on the road. The municipal parking and bus lane access is now dependent on the city. Oslo has removed them. 500,000 EVs. So that's the critical. That's what I mean by critical mass here in Ireland. So when we get to 50% of the EVs, you could technically start removing everything out of EVs, just make them cars, because they will be so common to see. And I still make that point, and I know there's people going to go on stage. I've been quoted multiple times that a guy sent me a recording of someone else quoting exactly what I said way back. Essentially, we don't need green parking spaces or special parking bays or any. We don't any of that. The only ones of those we need are fast chargers, right? Fast chargers have it nailed. That's deadly. You go to a space where it's a fast charger and they are specifically fast, and even overstay a fee after 45 minutes. But the slow chargers, they shouldn't be special spaces. They should just have so many slow chargers, and anything from 22 kilowatts downwards be slow charger. We just have those spaces everywhere. They should be everywhere. There's two uptown in Portlaoise, and constantly you see a person pull in, they go, let's let you park, and they pull back out again. If there was a bank of 10, it wouldn't matter if there was an ICE car among them. You'd have one there anyway. So you just need to make it all very common. And then this fight that constantly seems to happen between EV owners and petrol heads. That's what happens, as if they can't be the same thing. They are. I'm a petrol head, but I love the idea of EVs as well. Especially if EVs save my V8s and V10s. Like cars did to the horse. Dylan Durbin says incentives based on reductions in taxes are scalable to the extent that the government can increase the taxes on reducing the number of ICE cars. Yep. We need the government involved in everything. Essentially, we need proper leadership. And I really don't think that Eamon Ryan is the right person for it. I really don't think he has the the backing, the ability to lead you. We need leaders up there, lads. That's the problem. That's why teachers did it so well once upon a time. Nearly everybody was a bloody secondary school teacher or a primary school teacher who was in a TD party. We need real leadership. We need someone to actually stand up there and go, this is the best methodology I can come up with, and here's what I think we need to involve, and get people involved that can advise them to get them moving forward. Because right now, they seem to sporadically attack this, that, or the other. They go like coffee cups have plastic inserts in them, which they do, by the way. When you buy a disposable coffee cup, generally it has a plastic layer on the inside and you can't get it out there. John Check has said, I'm in Minnesota, USA. Has paid for this, right? $5, he said. I'm in Minnesota, USA. I drive a Tesla model. Why I save $400 a month in gasoline and costs me to $7 to fill up electric. I'm not complaining about the price. That's true. Look, if you drive a lot, electric cars are brilliant. And I mean, they will save you a fortune on petrol and diesel if you commute a lot. But really, none of them are deadly to drive. Yeah, Tesla's fast, but they're all kind of fast in a row. They've all got a bit of torque, but none of them are really as good. There's many cars out there, petrol and diesel cars, that are much better to drive, to own and feel. They're refined, they drive very well. But if you drive a lot, you can save a fortune on petrol and diesel. That's a good one. That's one you want now. No, I don't need that. That's good. Anyone miss anybody else? No, I'm okay. I'm not missing anybody else. Fine. Continue. Andy McAfee says, am I supposed to do that? Grr. Am I supposed to go grr? Am I supposed to do that? My fibre has been shocking the last week or so. Vodafone UK normally 78 megabytes per second, as demonstrated by the other week by my mass stream. Struggle at 1 megabyte, and I'm viewing Bob Flavin in like 6 pixel mode. I'm normally on like 50-inch screens here. What's going on? I want to be on the 50-inch screens. Send me screenshots of your 50 inches. No, that sounds rude. Hold on. Back up. I retract that statement on advice of my solicitor. Fergal Quigley says, hi Bob and all the viewers. Hi Fergal. Bob, any chance I could get an email address for you? I have a problem which I'd appreciate your advice on, but don't want to taking up your time here on wasting viewers' time either. You can. It's bobflav@thenextgear.com if you want to. Many people have loads of emails to answer today, to be honest with you. We are, where am I looking? I'm looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 emails today from viewers. So yeah, tons going on. Dare McGee, Volkswagen Jetta 1.9 TDI. What's that mean? You want me to answer that? What do you want me to do with that? Is that what you have? Jetta is a Jetta, and the 1.9 TDI, the older one, is actually a bulletproof engine, but it does smoke after 100,000 kilometers, just so you know. The Yamaha Beams Lexus IS was a monster. God, we're all into, look at all the Lexus lads coming out of nowhere here. This is deadly. Oh, I jumped forward there. Hold on a second. Zoom back up. Right, caught up with you now. Dylan Durbin, I enjoyed your frank review of the Ioniq. EVs need to be good cars to be worth 40k. Tesla and ID3 achieved that, but we sad to see you become an axe murderer for entertainment. Well, you know, I'd rather be one than drive the Ioniq. In fairness, I was probably a bit brutal on the Ioniq, but I was so disappointed because they got it right the first time. They made the first Ioniq and it was fine. It was a good car. They could have improved on that car and made it right, and instead they seemed to go backwards. In a weird way, the car just became worse in every possible way, and so much so I didn't even fit in the car. I mean, I didn't even sit down properly in it. It was a weird car in its own way, a very weird car. So I was so disappointed. It came across in the video. In fairness, there's not more I can say about that. It just came across in video that I was terribly disappointed by it. Generally, the only people who complain about that video are people who bought an Ioniq. I'm sitting back going, he was very mean about my car. That's okay. Conor Enright, hi Bob, I have a 2015 Ford Focus Z-Tech S 2-litre diesel with 125,000 kilometres. Or is that one? Anyway, should it run into the ground or change it while there's still value in it? It's a 2-litre diesel 2015. Yes, you could change that Focus for another Focus. The problem is currently right now getting rid the second hand, that'll sell, so you'll be able to sell that second hand privately very quickly, right? Trading them in though, they're not great as trade-ins. None of them are. None of the kind of higher mileage stuff is in it. I would technically myself now, I was looking at this the other day as well, the 2006 Seat Leon I have, thinking, what'll I do with it? Like, 2006, it's 15 years old, give or take, and you know, won't be long now before it's 20 years old, and then what happens after is, you know, I'm not getting any break. It's a constant sort of uphill climb with a whole lot of it. And the same applies to me as well, whether I should just keep it now until it becomes a vintage, like 30 years old, or do I sell it now while there's still, you know, a couple of grand in it, maybe, if I was lucky. So there's all kinds of things that you could do with that. I would, if I was you, I would trade up now. 2-litre diesel, I trade up probably something. You're a high mileage, maybe you still have to go for diesel again. If you're a very high mileage driver, I'd keep the car till it falls asunder, because it's not costing you anything with that kind of mileage on it. Dan Fox, any sign of the new Octavia coming channel soon? Yes, I'm booked into the Octavia. I'll tell you when. It's not far away. Also, I'll be testing many other cars not far away. The technical launch for the Octavia is tomorrow. Actually, now it's a virtual launch. We're not going in or drive a car like. I don't know. Do you know that? Isn't it terrible? Suzuki Vitara. God, I have every sort of car. There it is. The first week in October, I will be driving the Octavia and see what it's like. By all reports, it seems to be pretty good. I'm answering questions at 2:16 p.m. by the way. I'm already well over half an hour behind you. I'm sorry. Just can't keep up with you. You all want me to rant, but then you ask so many questions I haven't time to rant. Rory Hennigan Wilson says, yo-yo, Bob. Yo-yo? I don't have a yo-yo, but I could try one, get one. We did have one around the house, remember? Shane Colton, I just looked ID3 product guide. I see it's $5,000 more for commercial buyers over the private buyer. Also, the trim line is up $7,000 more. So you go up the trims. ID3 is not for me, but defo will create waves. It will. The most important part for me is choice in your market, right? If you're going to buy a car and you're going to be forced by sheer will and passion of the people who drive electric cars into an electric car, you should have at least a good choice of electric cars in the market, and we're starting to get it now, right? We have the Opel Corsa, which is not as good as the Peugeot E208. I don't know why. I just don't. Me and the Corsa just didn't hit it off. But then I'm not a big fan. I'm not an Opel person. I don't know why. I never have been. But we have the Corsas come in. The ID3 is there as well. Audi's starting to do their stuff now as well. Skoda's starting to launch things. We're starting to get, and Seat won't be far behind everybody. So we're starting to get a bit of choice from real car manufacturers, from car manufacturers with a bit of experience. And don't forget, most car manufacturers are less than 50 or 60 years old. Just think about it when they were invented. Most car manufacturers were invented around the Second World War, apart from some of the American ones like Ford, what was invented just before the First World War. So they're all under 100 years old, thereabouts. And a lot of them are under 50 years old. So really we're going through a bit of a revolution now in fuels and how cars operate and how you buy a car, whether you own a car or not, whether you should own a car or not. You know, all of that sort of stuff is changing for everybody. Now, just flick down through another few here. I've an important email to look at as well. Dylan Durbin, Stephen, tried to kart racing to prepare for car tests. Tried to kart racing. Has anyone ever done that? I was up in Kylemore karting for a photography shoot for last year's Car of the Year. And he said to come back up and he'd give me a spin in it. And it was mad looking. We went this mad looking vertical track. I'd never been in it before. Looked fascinating. And I've never done indoor karting. I've done outdoor karting, but I've never done indoor karting. Actually, there's a video on my channel of me doing outdoor karting in Barcelona last year. And that track was up, down, up, down. Brilliant. Great crack. Nearly crashed into the wall a few times, but it was fun though. Peter Cupid, hi, your thoughts on a 2016 SDV8 SE Range Rover getting this in a few days. You know how I feel about Range Rovers? I love them and I hate them. Because I love them because I would Euromillions money or Lotto money, I would go Range Rover Vogue, please. One of them. Biggest V8 mad bastard engine you can give me, please. That'd be pretty much my first thought, because they're an amazingly luxurious car. I love that. I love the Land Rover Defender. They're just a fantastic vehicle. But if you can't afford the repairs, I would look elsewhere, because when they go wrong, if they go wrong, they will go really wrong. and you could end up with a bill for suspension parts and things underneath and stuff happening. It just becomes this endless money pit. And other ones soldier on for years and years and years and don't give the slightest bit of trouble. So they can be two ends of a scale, really. So they're brilliant cars, but if you can't afford the repairs, then or the tires and the wheel arches repairs and all that kind of stuff that happens to those kind of big vehicles like that, just be aware that they can get to be expensive. Rory Hennigan Wilson says, thoughts on that there will be a new Focus RS unless it's partially electric. I know, I saw that the other day. Ford has gone mad on the electric end of stuff because they have lost so much ground by not having an electric offering. Like everybody else, Volkswagen was in the same situation. They were all a little bit behind the ball on the electric stuff. And now Ford has gone, our best car that we've ever made apart from the Mustang is going to be a Ford Focus RS, partially electric. Well, I suppose it's inevitable, really. But, if they do it right, I'm okay. If they don't take away the noise that car makes, I'm okay with that. If they give it more horsepower or more torque because they're combining the two engines to do it properly and don't do a sort of a compliance thing, I'd be okay with that. Andy says, PS, only late was sorting out my box for the return to work in the morning. Following on my 4:30 alarm, have gone with haddock this week rather than God. I think we're having roast chicken for dinner. I've been shopping yesterday and I'm sick of going shopping on a daily basis. I do this. I like to go. I never know what we're going to have for dinner. Never. So I get up in the morning and we take the kids to school now. Oh, they're back at school. Brilliant. It's brilliant. Tom Cruise, when he comes sliding in and he's wearing the underpants and the white shirt and sunglasses, he comes sliding in. That's what happens when the kids go back to school. But so we never know what we're going to eat. It's whatever we have, and I go to the shop once a day and we pick up some meat or we pick up something for dinner, and we always cook for ourselves. So yesterday I went out and I just bought enough stuff to do maybe a week. And the shopping trolley's full of stuff, and I go up to the counter and pay for it all, bring it all home. I forgot milk, I forgot bread, I forgot all the stuff that I buy on a daily basis. So I have to go again today, which is really annoying. So I bought chicken yesterday, a full chicken. So I think we're going to have roast chicken for today. I'll have to stick that in the oven at the end of the Sunday service. That's how that works. Raymond Grace here. I haven't heard that name out in a while. Where you been, Raymond Grace? Cross 13 says, we used to buy those ex-on-post vans for one of our businesses. After a new leased Land Cruiser, an ex-post Kangoo was my second car as a young driver. I think at that point of life, nearly everybody had an ex-on-post van. Can you still get the on-post vans? Ex-versions of them. Because there's quite there was great value in them. There was nothing particularly wrong with any of them. Most dealerships were sold 10 or 15 of the things and they made like 10 good ones, and then the other halves of them were disposed of. So there's a few around. Remember to hit the like button, says Andy McPhee. You're right. Where's Froggy? Thought he'd be here talking about his love of electricity, says King Banter. Yeah, well, we have to put Froggy in his place. That is a remark about our Sunday service Facebook page, which took a very, not a left turn, but there's an insidious moment on the internet when you are on Facebook, and I really honestly recommend you to get off Facebook, right? If you are a person who focuses very heavily on what is said to you online and how people react to you, Facebook is a very bad place to go. So why is that? So when you go to Facebook and you go into the EV Owners Association, or you go into the Dublin EV, or whoever it is, the EV people, and you think about buying an EV, and you click like on this and like on that, and you get information and stuff, soon the little algorithm begins to present you more of that thing you liked. If that thing is negative or positive, it will give you more of it. If people are putting up things about suicide prevention, putting up things about homelessness, you will start to see more of those things coming at you through Facebook, right? So when you're an EV evangelist or someone who likes EVs a lot, you're presented with a lot of information about EVs on Facebook. Until eventually nothing else exists in your world. You just seem to go round in circles, and then eventually you leave Facebook, and Google metrics work on Facebook as well. So Google hoovers up what you liked on Facebook and presents you more of that outside Facebook. So when you go onto Google News, you're presented with more EV stuff, until eventually that's all you see, this EV end of it. as a journalist, as someone who looks at the car industry, the whole industry, not just the EV bit of it, but the whole industry, how it works together, from the business end to the manufacturing end to the disposal end, I try to breach the whole lot of it. Facebook and Google doesn't know exactly what to do with me, so they give me articles on something and then something else, something totally random, and I don't really post a whole lot on Facebook. So I would be very anxious for people that if you feel pressure, you feel a depression coming on you, a blue day, whatever it is, try to stay away from Facebook. Try to get into real life. What's happening right now in your daily life? Get away from Twitter as well. Maybe lose yourself in a little kind of a YouTube video or something. Spend a half an hour watching a sailing channel or something that's more positive, more upbeat, more that gives you more information into your brain. Sit through a documentary on aliens, right? Anything that gets you away from whatever it is that's pushing on you in Facebook terms. And if you really, really can't stick it, take my advice and delete your Facebook account entirely. Go in, don't just log out, go in and delete the whole bloody account and forget about it like it never existed. I bet your world doesn't change one bit for you. Rory says, afternoon Bob, what's your thoughts on that there will be... Oh yeah, sorry, we did that one. Discount on what? Hands off my beard, Flavin. Your beard? What's your beard? Christopher Yarden said, thanks Bob, time to hit the sack here in Australia. Keep up the good work. I can't ever say Australia. I can't. As soon as I read the word Australia, it comes out as Australia. I can't. When I talk to a New Zealand person, I hear chops all the time as well for chips. Christopher, thanks Christopher. Enjoy your sleep in Australia. My name's Spiders. Everything in Australia wants to kill you as far as I can see. Paul Dunn, they're using 2 Enyaq IV, a red one, a yellow one, as lead cars at Tour de France. I love that though. That'll be fun when it runs out of electricity at the front of the pack and they can't do anything with it. Do you know the whole Tour de France was Skoda Octavias once upon a time? You know what, all the roofs on all the bikes on the roof was brilliant, absolutely brilliant looking, looks deadly. The Enyaqs, I'm not sure that's going to work out really. And it's not, I'm not laughing at electric thing, it's just the technicalities of the marketing required getting an Enyaq to drive all the way through the Tour de France stages up those mountains. Oh, lads, forget about it. Michael Carton, hi Bob, I've a chance to buy a clean 2013 Great Wall Steed 4x4 crew cab and pickup. Don't know much about them, have any experience with them. You burn it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's a waste of your time. Unless it's dirt cheap, and I mean properly dirt cheap. Great Wall Steeds are a Chinese imitation Mitsubishi L200. You know what I mean? They are really basic. If you're going to hammer it, right, if you're going to drive onto building sites the whole time and you're going to tow yokes up hills and you're just going to do the thing harm and you want the cheapest possible car, sort it. There you go, that's your reason for buying it. But if you want to have something that you're going to be using as a business machine, as a tax write-off, but generally just going to drive to and from work and a whole lot, buy something a bit more stylish in it, for God's sake. You want to be proud of your vehicles, you know. They represent your business, Michael. Every business is represented by the vehicle that they drive. If you happen to have that vehicle, you know, branding around the side of your thing. So just remember, unless it's dirt cheap, don't go near it. Plus, service is a bit of a problem on it as well, because there's only one dealership, as far as I know, in the country. Maybe there's 2. Clover Video, hi Bob, what do you think about Gordon Murray's new McLaren with the fan on the back to reduce drag? Regards, Damien. Interesting idea, right? Gordon Murray is of course the king of everything British racing, really. It's an idea, I suppose. It's hard to see how it's really going to be much of a benefit. I mean, how fast are these cars able to go, really, even if it's just reducing drag? Drivers are drivers. Funny enough, I responded to a thing on Facebook the other day from, it was on motorsport.ie, and it was from Hamilton, and he said he wanted to reduce his CO2 emissions. He's not going to fly here and there, and he's can't wait for the launch of this electric Mercedes and all. And you're sitting there going, do you know what company you work for? Do you know what you're talking about at all, really, when you talk about lowering your CO2? You're a Formula 1 driver. Relax, pay some tax. But beside that, Gordon Murray could do was pay some tax as well, so could McLaren. But interesting idea. Gordon Murray would be held up very highly by the UK press as being someone, you know, and McLaren would be as well, because obviously it's all run out of Manchester, Birmingham. Little industrial park, the most innocuous looking industrial park in the world. I drove around it and you can see McLaren written and you go, what? It's this place. It's where they develop all the Formula 1 things. It's just a little industrial park. Interesting looking car, right? M. Jones, why does EU measure octane rating differently than other countries? RON versus R and M2. Everybody has their own version. Do you know a gallon here is not the same as a gallon in the US? Everybody's got their own version of measuring things, and everybody thinks they're right. And it's usually just because history has been told. My 10 monkeys analogy always comes up at this point, where we have 10 monkeys in a banana in the middle of the room. You look it up. You can look up the 10 monkeys analogy. I like it myself. King Benter says French cars are merde. I like that. If you know what French merde is, you know what merde means. Action Man in the background there needs a looser fitting pair of trousers. This guy. You know, we went to, there was a market in Dublin. Of course, you can't have markets anymore. What was it called? Jeez, it comes up every year now as well. Flea market, Dublin Flea. They were looking for a home for a long time. They had a little place everyone used to go along to, and it became very executive, and they made great coffees and stuff. It's a lovely little place to have a ramble around. It's a bit expensive, but it was lovely. And my kids came across this place that was selling little action figures. This is one of the action figures. I don't know what he's from. I don't know. He just moves about a bit, but he doesn't actually. The clothes doesn't come off right. And I thought he was from Action Man or something, but I don't think he is. And there's no markings or nothing on him. There's something on the sole of that shoe, but my eyesight doesn't read. And there's two little metal studs here, so he fits onto something inside some action figure thingamajig. So we got them for the kids, and we actually got. I like this guy. This guy has become my mascot. I don't know why I like him so much, but I think he's cool. He's very patient looking face on him. He's just very nice, isn't he? Patient. I like him because he looks like an old man, but he's an alien. And I also got a new box as well. It says Bits and Bobs. See that there? Bits and Bobs. I got it because it says Bobs, and I just cover up the bits. Andy McAfee says the MOT system in GB has gone a long way to making labour rates at independent garages go through the roof with the equipment they must buy. In comparison to Northern Ireland, tends to be around 250% higher rate. I know, look, not every system is brilliant, not every system works, but the NCT currently in Ireland is not working. It is not fit for purpose. They're testing CO2 emissions and can't do it on PHEVs, on hybrids. They're failing cars because they can't test things. There's stuff on cars like self-leveling LED headlamps that no longer headlamp adjustment is required. There's all kinds of things that NCT can no longer do. It needs to be reviewed massively. It is not fit for purpose, and having just another tax on cars just doesn't work for me at all. I get very upset by those sort of things. I pay enough tax already, for God's sake. Scott Bond says, Shane. Who's Shane? I think you can get an X-Demo ID3 car eventually. You will get it for your business within the 2 grants taken off. It seems to be the way around not losing the 1 grant. Is this right, Bob? Don't know what that means, Scott. X-Demo. Oh, you mean commercial buyers? Commercial buyers grant. That was talking about, because they don't get that same grant, which I think is an oversight. I think they should get the grant, to be honest with you. Colin says an odd name from PayPal is mine. Oh, is that you? That's you. Odd name. No. Give us another odd name there. Anyone else want to donate, by the way, to my PayPal, Patreon, my fund to buy new cameras, because we're going to upgrade. I'm going to upgrade to 4K, I think is my next step for cameras. Looking at the Sony A7S3, sorry, not 2, the latest version of it. Which is a big change for me because I'm a Canon guy. I've got lots of Canon gear, but Canon doesn't seem to have. They have an R5 and R6 coming, but they seem to be both compromised as to which one is going to be the one that I actually need. And Sony seems to hit the nail on the head with the A7 S3, so I think I'll have to go that direction. But that means I have to change all my lenses as well. So it's not just like a new camera; it's new cameras, new lenses, new everything. And I don't like Sony's file system, but I'm sure I'll get used to that. Philip Reese. Skoda Enyaq config launched. Nearly everything is an option. 20 different packages and 9 separate options. Basic 50 kilowatt charger as standard. Upgraded at cost, can easily reach over 50k for a Skoda. Well, the other part of that is they have a long range version of that yoke. which they didn't tell me the price of it, but that long range one, the 500 kilometre one they're talking about, I'd say, because like that little Peugeot, the 208, weighs 1500 kgs. Can you imagine the long range version of that Skoda Enyaq, how much that's going to weigh? Eric Rocher said, never had any interest in looking at TikTok before, but love the content you're putting up there. I agree, there's far better place than Facebook, that it wouldn't be hard to be fair, as Facebook is getting worse. Facebook's getting terrible. Twitter is ferocious now. Twitter's ridiculous. I have never blocked so many people as I've blocked this year on Twitter. Really nasty place now at this stage. The good thing about TikTok is that you can choose what to see. So you could look at the funny TikTok, the little dancing person or whatever it is, a car. I'm on the car end of the thing now. So I can see lots of V8s and engines and really cool stuff that you just don't see anywhere else. But you don't have to read the comments. If you don't want to, you can click on the comments you like, or you can just leave them alone. Forget about them. You just watch the video and scroll on by. It's really nice. A great way to kind of waste 10 minutes, relax your brain just looking at those sort of things. Don't go wild on them. It's good. Andy says, saw someone on a Skoda owners group did 1,000 miles from a tank challenge with a friend. Mark 1 Fabi Estate 1.4 TDI. He made it 1,107 miles with 10 miles range indicated left at 112.9 miles per gallon, 52 miles per hour on motorways. We used to do, and I know Leo Nulty wanted to bring it back, we used to do a economy run here in Ireland, and we did it for years, and for years a Toyota Carina won it. An amazing, now a petrol Carina, not a diesel one, a petrol one. It's totally possible to get better fuel economy if you just slow down on any vehicle. It doesn't matter whether it's electric or not. You can get better fuel economy over time if you just go slower. Weirdly, the route was the route from London to Berlin, Warsaw, Polish Taltree Mountains. My God, that's a long way. That's where I'm going. If this lockdown ever goes by, I'm going to go over to Poland and we're going to do a video over there. Cross 13 says the EV grant plus the VRT credit never cover the cost of the tax, VAT plus VRT on the car. So this is a reduction in the government tax take, not subsidy by non-EV owners of EVs. I get what you mean. I know I paid more than 10k in taxes on the purchase of both my last two EVs after grants. I get it. I know what you're talking about, but in a way that we need to force car companies to reduce the price and the cost of electric cars to make them affordable for everybody. Because right now, if you look around you, most cars that are on the road are around 10 years old. You know, it's 8 to 10 year mark where people are buying cars and changing cars over. New car sales are tanking. Electric car sales are down. They weren't exactly up in the first place, but they're down as well. So everything is going downward. So the only way to force that to make it happen further is to grant the cars to make them cheaper again, which I don't think is going to work because car companies just rip you off, or really encourage car companies to make the cars cheaper in the first place. Whether you pay through tax or you pay it otherwise, it doesn't really matter as long as we're buying more CO2 friendly cars. And the VRT credit is gone for EV above 50,000 invoice price, which is all EVs over 40 grand retail. That is true, and that was they need to look at them grants again. They really not just look at the grants, but really sit down and figure it out, because I think it was instigated a little bit too quick and without really thinking about the effects of it. And plus the over 50k yoke is a bit of a problem as well. That's a real problem. And businesses drive electric cars, and I don't mean drive behind the wheel, but businesses. If you look at all the ex-diesel sales when diesel cars are on the road, you look at where they came from. A lot of them came from fleet sales. So if you encourage car companies to make fleets of cars, you're going to get more interest in people buying cars afterwards. So, you know, that there are these kind of little things that incentivize people to buy more cars. That's really what you're after. Regarding EV incentives, why should state help EV cars? Why not let a better technology replace the older one and let the market decide? Why states are more and more involved in our lives? This is the problem. Do we want to be communist or what? At the end, incentives are taxpayers' money you can get that can be spent better, e.g. education, infrastructure, healthcare. Well, yeah, that's not where the taxes aren't taken from those to pay for EVs. In a roundabout way, everybody has a point here in this part of it, because we do need to encourage less diesels and petrols on the road because there are too many cars. It's not that we need to encourage more electric cars. We need to reduce the amount of we use cars. if you look at some of the documentaries they did there with the Tesla cars, or who actually killed the diesel engine, that sort of stuff, those ones were done during lockdown, and you can see in the back of the shot there's very few cars. And the smell of the air, I miss it. I actually miss it. When I used to go for a run and I could smell clean air and no smell of diesels or anything like that around the car. Just amazing. It was gorgeous. So I miss that. I'd love to, if we all drove less, we'd have less of a CO2 problem. You know, that's kind of it, really. Raymond Grace, thank you very much. Raymond Grace has sent some money there by PayPal. You're very good. You could do the same thing. PayPal, Patreon. Super Chat is here as well, which someone else did there a minute ago. All kinds of ways of supporting the channel. All of it goes to the free press. When I'm talking about the press as well, I must mention our channel sponsor, which is Noah. Noah has sponsored this video. Noah is an app you get on your phone, of which you can listen to the news, not breaking news, but listen to the news, editors' picks and all that sort of stuff that's there. Absolutely brilliant stuff that's on it. I'm listening to sort of a podcast feel about it. It's very good. I totally enjoyed some of the articles I've been listening to over the last couple of weeks. I listen to them when I go and swap cars as well, so I jump into the car and plug it in and drive up to Dublin and swap my car, and at the same time I listen to it. And one of the really good ones this week I'll recommend to you right now is why Spotify paid $100 million for Joe Rogan's podcast. It's a fascinating thing to listen to, because Joe Rogan, who people used to laugh at because his podcasts on YouTube could go on for hours hours and hours, and then it started to get some traction. Then suddenly Joe Rogan was pretty big, you know. And then he wanted to bring on some controversial guests like David Icke, or, you know, whoever he wanted to bring on. And YouTube went, no, you can't bring him on. And like that, he went up for sale. And Spotify came out of nowhere and gave him $100 million just to put his podcast on Spotify. And now he doesn't like it there. Well, I don't think he does. I don't know. I don't think he cares one way or the other, because he can do whatever he wants to do. Bit like the three lads from Top Gear with Amazon money. The only thing on Amazon that I could find to watch was James May's Japan and the Top Gear lads, whatever it's called, a Grand Tour, or Seaman as the latest one's called. Anyone seen the latest version of that? No, I haven't seen the latest episode of that yet. It was supposed to come out ages ago. Keith Colton says COVID has slowed some of the movement to the cities. It might bring some people back to towns, countryside. Yeah, I was talking to a couple of mates of mine recently as well, who now work 3 days from home, and I've actually heard a few PRs from from car companies telling me the same thing, that they're doing a sort of a desk share. So they stay at home and their other PR person goes into the office and they work remotely for 3 days a week, and then the other 2 days they actually go into the office, but they're never in the office at the same time, so the desk gets a deep clean between each one. My biggest bugbear at the moment is, would you open the bloody changing rooms in it's just really annoying. I know you're not supposed to, but God, you go in, you want to buy a pair of trousers and you want to try the bloody things on, you can't. You bring them home, they don't fit. You have to go back to the bloody shop, and it could be in a different county. It's a really aggravating thing to go on at the moment. And same for the internet. I bought some really good stuff off a website recently, clothes-wise, because I just couldn't go to a bleeding shop. And the top's all fitted, but the jeans is rotten. And we're sending them back to the bloody company. It's such a nightmare of a job. I hate it. I hate filling in forms. M. Jones. Whenever I'm in the US, I know a small town American is disappearing. They're often run down and abandoned. That's true. That's been going on for years and years. Drive through France, drive through Germany, and you're driving through small villages and there's no one in the streets. It's like a bloody ghost town. You think something's going wrong, because they all work in the local city. They don't work in the small villages. Well, that's our problem right now. We have this really big effort, this really big problem that's going on of a desertion of rural Ireland. We're going to miss it. And I promise you, when you grow up and get old and decide, I'm going to retire to the country now, I fancy a lovely lifetime in the country, and it's gone. It just doesn't exist. There's nowhere to move to, because they won't give you planning permission to build your little 3-bedroom semi-detached house in the middle of the country. Like, you know, it's going to be difficult. That's why a lot of Dublin people live down here as well. They can't move home. I'm around this area here. There's a lot of Dublin people live around here. You drive around some days, you see the Dublin flags flying everywhere in Laois, because they can't move home. There's nowhere to go to. Karma Kiki says, Bob, if you had $8,000 to spend, would you buy an A4 S-Line or a Golf GTD? I would buy $8,000. I'd probably buy a Golf GTD. A4 is lovely, but it's a bit fleety. And what I mean by that is it's kind of a sales rep's cool car, you know, whereas a Golf isn't. So you've more chance of getting rid of it later on and less explaining to do. You know, when someone asks you what are you driving, you kind of go, oh, Golf GTD, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, an A4. And then they ask you where you work, and you go, well, I don't know. It's not my company car. So to get away from the company car vibe, I'd go Golf GTD. Keith Cotton, yes, you will need to prove the purchase of an EV for a charger grant. Still going on, this is stupid. Why can't we just... I don't mind that grant, to be honest with you, because it kind of fixes the price of the chargers themselves. But, like, just put them into every house. That's the problem's done. Like, the job is over if you just put them in every house. Hold on 1 second. I need to pause for a second because I've locked my wife out. Just pause there for a second. Right, we're back. Good job, the front door's not very far away because I locked my wife and kids out. If you put the key in the back of the door and turn it, you can't put another key in. Anyway, right, we're back. Viper Gaming says hi. Deedwar, I can't even pronounce that. Anyway, no, he's after someone else. Irish Foxhound, hi Bob and chat, just dropping in for a second. Why? Where are you going? What else is on? Is there anything else worth looking at? Shane, I don't know what that means. Hitster. 1,000 full cycles of a charge on a 300-mile range car is 300,000 miles before that 1,000 cycles is done. 300,000 miles is not very much. Just saying, don't get all EV. Like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But 300,000 miles is not very much. Many cars go much further than that. I'm just like, and it doesn't require thousands to keep the new engine or anything, you know. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to get down that road. Rory Hennigan Wilson, yo Bob, should they axe Top Gear after famous tree left? They should have axed. No, not axed it. How would I explain that? They should have reinvented it. So what they should have done was just shut Top Gear and rejig the entire show to be something else. So they could bring back Top Gear, like miss a season, close it down, stop filming, miss a season, and create a new Top Gear, a brand new Top Gear from scratch, right? Instead, what they did was they just replaced everybody on the show with somebody else and made a balls of it, because they brought in, of course, Chris Evans, who was the worst presenter for Top Gear you could possibly ever have. He was terrible on the show. From the moment he opened his mouth, everybody was against him. So what they should have done was close it down and start again. Then they brought in Chris Harris. Well, he was there from the beginning, and he has literally kept his life jacket on since he got there and survived all of the cuts and Rory's just been thrown off there to Auto Express, and he's making videos from home. I won't mention some of them videos where he got things very wrong on a number of videos. So the problem is that they kind of reinvented it now. Now they've brought in a cricket player and a comedian, and they're just banter funny. Let's make it funny. Let's do something real. And there's nothing really to latch onto anymore. And even Chris Harris is kind of boring now. You know, it's just, you look at it, you're at the top of your game, but there's nowhere else to go. What do you do? Whereas the other three lads have gone off to Amazon. They don't really care. They're still doing their thing, and they just get to do whatever they want to do until they're finished. But like Clarkson made his money long ago. The three of them have. They've made their money over again multiple times, so they don't need to worry about too much. I see we've gone wild in the chat. This is okay. Relax. Our moderators are brilliantly unpaid, beautiful people who come every week and make sure you all get a banhammer on the side of the neck. Cross says plenty of Model S have exceeded 1,000 cycles and seen less than 10% of capacity loss. I had more than 1,000 cycles on the i3 pack as well. 2,000 to 3,000 cycles as the lifespan is more realistic. Which for a 100 kilowatt battery pack is 1,000,000 kilometers plus of driving. There's the information we love from Cross. This is the information that we need all the time. I'm a bit dim with that sort of stuff. I don't really want to work that out because I'm much more interested in how long a car lasts than how many cycles it goes through. I just know that on my phone it's gone through multiple cycles and it's lost some of its capacity. I know that much. But that's a phone, obviously. It's a bit of a smaller battery. We'll look it up actually for the crack, right? It's an iPhone 10. I bought it second hand. Not mad now. I bought it second hand, and it has battery health 94% capacity left. When did iPhone 10 come out? Is there a way of telling you when it actually was made? No. But it's still brilliant. It works absolutely perfectly. 69% of my battery has gone on TikTok. I'll tell you how much TikTok is. Irish Foxhound says, seen a car today when walking our dogs. All windows were heavily tinted, at least 80%, including the front windows, and that was silver tinted. How is this car on the road? Madness. Well, it's illegal. It's illegal. They do have tinting tester things that are in some Garda cars that they can test how much light passes through, but it is illegal to actually fully tint your window, particularly the front window. I think the back window might have restrictions on as well, but even the side windows are supposed to have restrictions as well. So you're not supposed to be able to tint those windows that much. Dylan Durbin says Bjorn Nyland has recently tested battery degradation on a 7-year-old Model S at only 7%. However, Tesla has reduced the charging rate on older cars to protect the battery. Isn't that gas how Tesla, a car company in California, reduces the charge in your batteries just because they feel like it, and there's nothing you can do about that. That's just going to happen whether you like it or not. Not the future of future of cars. All car companies can do those. You can do telemetry, pull information from your car without you asking. They can do it all already. But yes, that is obviously just one example of one car, not necessarily every car on the market, but interesting though, all the same, isn't it? Keith Colton says data on Model S X were showing about 90% capacity after 200,000 kilometers plus. There you are, 10% lost-ish. I don't think you'd be too upset about 10%, to be honest with you. My testing of Model 3, X and S meant that the long range of them meant you'd never had a feeling that you needed electricity, whereas that happens a lot with other cars, not so much with the really newer stuff, but like you get into the Mini and you start up and you start driving and instantly you see that the fuel gauge is starting to lose some of its capacity, and you're kind of going, oh god, I need to get electricity already, you know. And even when I drove all the way to Portlaoise, my point at the end of the Mini test was that I couldn't make the return journey without charging the car first. So like on a day when I'm trying to go from one thing to the other, on a business meeting, or I'm trying to go down and meet a guy for coffee or whatever, I drive there, I'm going to have to charge when I'm there. So I'm going to have to go to a place that has a charger. So that was my main problem with that part. But that doesn't seem to happen so much with Tesla. We had the Model 3 here. We drove all around, all down to the lakes. We went everywhere in that car. We just charged it, a supercharger, just 35 minutes, bang, you're back up full, you're gone again. Brilliant system. The king of long range driving is Tesla at the moment. Fergus Duffy's very generously given us €10 by super chat. You're very good. Thank you very much. You're so kind. You guys are brilliant. You really are. This channel is surviving because of you guys, mostly, because it's definitely not bloody YouTube. We're definitely trying to get rid of absolutely everyone who's not on television. It's funny how YouTube treats people who are on television already. TV shows that exist already, that put their stuff onto YouTube, are given preferential and beneficial treatment, such as the Late Late Show or something, even from RTE. But if you look at American shows, they do the same thing. They're given specific people to deal with them. They're given all of the benefits you can possibly give to a TV show for YouTube. They don't help YouTubers at all though. Millions of YouTubers that started at the same time as me are gone. Loads of YouTubers shut down at the end of last year, and a hell of a lot of them have not recovered from COVID-19 lockdowns because their content was made outdoors in different places, different events, vlogs and things that would have been very action heavy stuff. They couldn't make them. So a lot of YouTubers have died a death and just disappeared, and there's nothing, YouTube has done absolutely nothing to help them, and I do feel sorry for that. I'm fortunate, it's my channel. I don't really have responsibilities in staff or people around me or other content creators who work with me. It's just me, and every once in a while I hook up with people like Nobby or whoever's out there that wants to make videos as well. So it's kind of weird that way. Alan Burke, one of the things putting me off an EV apart from the cost is when mileage hits 100,000 miles, what state the battery in? Answered above there, Alan. Go along, should be okay, hopefully. Maybe 10% of your battery will be lost max. I believe when you buy a brand new electric car and you run in the battery, so you're supposed to run in the battery, and the guessometer begins to learn who you are and what you're kind of up to and how you're behaving, and starts to give you range. because it is called a guess-o-meter. It's only guessing how much range you got left. I believe that over time, you will lose the most amount of your battery capacity in the first kind of year. So as the battery tries to learn what you're doing, you will get further on. Once you get to that point where the guessometer is starting to get a bit clever, which you start to get realistic terms, which may actually be different from the way it's been tested. Who's card players? Hi Bob, says card players. Are electric cars NCT tested? Every vehicle on the road is NCT tested once it's not a commercial vehicle. So yes, they must be NCT tested, but obviously no emissions, there's no exhaust pipes. But they do test the brakes, the lights, everything else. But often most of these tests are completely redundant because the lights are self-leveling on LED lights these days. You don't need to worry about it. And the brakes, of course, the braking system of a EV is the same as any other braking system. It's exactly the same, electrically run as well. Clover Video. Hi Bob, if money was no object, this is always a weird question, what cars would you choose for additional options like smart headlights or night vision, etc.? Regards, Darren. If you were buying a brand new car, I would certainly have automatic headlights at night and not just the ordinary ones. There's a BMW one that is fantastic, and Audi do it as well. What it does is puts the car's coming at you in a black box, so they can't see the headlights are on, but the ditch is lit up perfectly for you. Absolutely brilliant. That is worth its weight in gold in wintertime in Ireland, because at 3 o'clock in the afternoon of winter here, it's dark, right? So you want the best version of LED lights you can possibly have. So those kind of ones are simple options you can go for. Other ones, double glazing is nice if it's there as an option as well. It really does keep that cabin so quiet when you're hoovering along a road. Always go estate if you can. Estates are much better value than anything else. And other than that, options, active cruise control is pretty good as well. It's nice to have, so you could try that too. Why are you deleting card players? Oh, yeah, that's okay. Latest Toyota. Which one? The latest one. I don't know who Card Players is, but answering questions there. Colin Foley. Hi Bob, great Sunday service as always, thank you. Thinking of trading up to a 65,000 mile 2015 Audi A4 2-litre TDI from a 2011 Ford Focus, is a good option. Is the A4 generally a good car, reliable, economical, fun, etc.? They're only as reliable as the last person who owned them. So if you're buying a second-hand car, they're only reliable if the other person has actually looked after it up to that point. You'll have to make it reliable over time. And you're going to 2015 Audi A4, so it's 5 years over when you're buying it. So all of the stuff that you're out of warranty, so all of the stuff that could have went wrong has probably gone wrong already. So yes, you'd probably be okay buying into them. They are incredibly economical. I would expect to get 1,000 kilometers plus from any 2-litre diesel engine easily. And that's just driving it normal. If you can possibly manage to go for DSG, manuals are okay in the A4, but they're not brilliant. They're not nice to use. It's much nicer to have an automatic version of an Audi anyway out there. Yes, they are definitely fun to drive. If you can get an estate one, get one as well. And John Check says, good job Bob, here's some money towards the $3,500 Camry you want to buy. It's true, it is up that kind of money, alright, for sure. But there's no point in kind of, if you go a little step, you buy a 1080p, and I have a 1080p, and you go another little step and you buy something that's kind of 2.5K, but not 4K. So what I want to do is just take one big step and get the next best camera that will do me for another 5 or 6 years. It's that kind of step you need to take when you're upgrading. I don't like incremental upgrades. They tend to cost you more over time. Alan Montgomery. Hi Bob, what did you think of the news of the Skoda Citigo EIV only bought 400 to the UK, all sold already? Now they're going to axe the Citigo E as they don't need to sell small cars. That's a car company, Skoda, who are making decisions, commercial decisions. They could easily sell that Skoda E, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. They could have done the same thing with the Citigo in general, the actual Citigo. But they choked supply on them. I could never quite work out why. They never wanted to support it. Volkswagen was the same with the Up, and say it with the Me. They never really wanted to support that car. When I remember going to Geneva Motor Show and seeing the Swiss Up and the City Up and the Country Up and all these different Ups, and then all of a sudden they just went, no more Ups. End of story. and they got rid of them. And then they brought the electric one, never brought it here in the first place, and got rid of that as well. It just seems really weird, a decision to make, that they could easily service this small, handy electric car and put in a small battery. Give us a small battery. Give us a town battery and let us make up our minds, but they won't do it. EV Journey says, sorry, I missed the start. Are you reviewing the ID3 soon? Yes, I am. Very, very soon. Is it next week or the week? No, it's not next week. I think it's the week after next. I will be ahead of the posse on that one. Tell you when. Yes, it'll be the week after next that I'll be reviewing the ID3. So I'll be putting it on TikTok. I'll be putting it on Twitter and Instagram and all the stuff. So if you find a social media out there that can do it, do it. If you are a Patreon person, subscriber there, or you're on the channel memberships here, you will get behind the scenes stuff that I see. Okay, so only if you're in those two positions will you get it. So go over to Patreon and subscribe there, or do it here on channel memberships. I will be uploading unique content to there about the ID3, which will give you a behind the scenes look of what it actually looks like. Rick Nelson says, good morning. Good morning. Jimmy John, someone's first car. There's a lot of new people coming all of a sudden. People, Jimmy John. I don't know whether Jimmy John's a real person or not, but anyway, so someone's first car. If you're looking for a first car, it's the cheapest thing you can get on insurance and tax. That's really the only way to go with first cars. That's just life, man. You got to do it. You got to get through that point of being able to get where you want to go. Small engines, small cars. Unfortunately, we do drive our youngest, most inexperienced drivers into crap cars, into the cheapest, horriblest car that they can possibly be in. It's terrible, isn't it? Because of insurance. That's why we do it. Gareth Gainsborough. Oh yeah, okay. Jimmy John was gone mad there. Hi, that's great advice, Bob. Facebook can be a very dangerous place. Yes, it can. It mentally damaging, and I mean really mentally damaging. Instagram is the same. If you want to start clearing your mental health out, I strongly suggest you delete Instagram app and Facebook app and Facebook Messenger app for 1 month. It's only a month. Even just do it for 1 week. Just humour me for the laugh. Just delete them and see, does it make any difference to your life whatsoever. Don't check it on desktop. Don't go near it. Just leave it alone. And then go back in and have a look at it in a month's time when you're all cleared out. Leave Twitter if you want. Leave TikTok. Leave the other ones around the edges of it. Twitter's not brilliant either, but Twitter's losing ground every day. Twitter's losing ground because it's much more of a news area now. Facebook is dangerous place. If you're not prepared for it, it's very dangerous. Keith Colton, everything online is an echo chamber. It's the nature of the way of connecting, filtering into that info. Yes, but a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people go to Facebook and go, wow, there's a lot of terrorism in the world, a lot of riots in the world. That's literally, well, there's my missus now. See, good job I didn't lock her out because she brought me a cup of coffee. She could have been still standing outside the front door all this time. Oh, that's nice coffee too. The echo chamber effect is what the algorithm does. It does it here on YouTube. It does it everywhere, right? So the algorithm tries to learn you, tries to figure out who you are, and then provides the stuff you like. It doesn't provide you stuff you don't like. So if you continue to like news stories that show riots in Paris and things and going on, that's all it will show you. More of that, because you said you liked it, so you obviously want more of it, right? So at what point do we cross the line where these apps are actually controlling our thoughts? They're actually telling us how to think and how we think the world actually appears. That's where news journalism comes into it. That's why I'm a big fan of actually reading and understanding the news and also listening to it, like Noah, the way they do it. Same sort of thing. They're registered, proper journalists. They digest the stuff. They give it back to you in a way that you can understand, and a way that's not going to be terrifying on you the whole time either. The stress that people are under, the loneliness that people feel as well out there, particularly under lockdown. If you're susceptible to COVID-19 and you'll be very harmed by it, if you've got underlying conditions, then it's in your mind the whole time about, keeping in touch with people. So you start going into the Facebook thing, and then before you know it, you're already looking at some mad terrorism thing that's going on in some other country, when you don't need to be. You're doing something else at your time. I said hello to Raymond Grace. We're all right. That's an email coming in there from that one. Just make sure I haven't missed anything else. I'm now at 5,500 followers on TikTok. It's going up by the minute, which is kind of weird. TikTok is so cool in times. Dynamic Flame says, I work in a car finance and there is a big change coming in the UK on January 21st as Financial Conduct Authority is saying brokers, dealers cannot pick the APR, which is how the commission is paid. Same in Ireland. I don't know is the answer to that one. I don't know who picks the APR here. As far as I'm aware, APR is controlled by the financial institution that is lending it to you. So you can charge anything you want. You can charge 0% like Volkswagen do from time to time, and other people are 1.5%, some people are 7%, so they seem to be all over the place. So I'd imagine it's the financial institution that's able to do it. Sean Murray, you are right about Facebook. Bob left it years ago as a home for the bewildered. Well, it's a home for some good stuff as well. Do you know what the worst part is? That Facebook's events system is so easy to use. It's so easy to use for car people and motorbike people and stuff to get together, make a car thing, and just to have an event. You can click interested and go along to jokes. That's how Facebook still survives, I think. Other than that, I think they're rubbish. Paul Sheehan says, are you on every Sunday? Yes. Most Sundays. I've taken a couple of weeks off there just at the end of COVID lockdown, and I took last week off because I was on holidays. We took a Volkswagen California down to the beautiful Clare and went out to the Aran Islands with the kids on a little ferry. Met the coolest people on a ferry who we got selfies at high speed on the ferry. It was funny. And I went out to the Wormhole on Aran Moor. Beautiful island. We cycled all around the island. We had a lovely cup of coffee, socially distanced up the road. It was very nice, just a lovely experience. And the California course was absolutely fabulous. It's such a good machine. You have to compromise your whole life to fit into it, but the kids had a ball going here and there in the van and going to sleep at night and watching movies and playing. We played card games and it was just good crack. A lovely place. We stayed in the we stayed in Doonbeg, not in the Trump's place. That's an eyesore of a hole in the ground, that thing. Oh, it's horrible. But we stayed in Doonbeg village in the campsite. There's a place called Doonbeg campsite, I think it is, or Doonbeg something, lakeside or something like that. It's very good. Lovely little campsite. Keith Cole says, sure, the longest tour stage is 200 kilometres. Skoda Enyaq would be grand with a 500 kilometre WLTP. I think a lot of the teams still use a lot of Skoda Octavia Superbs. I would say they need to keep on doing that because those cars are on the road the whole time. The Zygarde Kiwi. Hey, what's your opinion on a Toyota Yaris? A packet of Tato is the best thing you can possibly... Toyota Yaris. You spelled Tato Yaris. It's fine. Yaris is okay. It's meant as a starter car, first car, second car maybe. Car to have around the house for shopping or whatever. They're bulletproof, most of them. The newer one I'll have on test in a wee while, a couple of weeks time from now. There's a new Yaris out, so I'm not booking that in. So that'll be a full test I have as well. What's with the loading thing? Kevin McCarthy is not saying anything. He's just typing dots. Come on, Kevin. Nothing like being alert and awake this morning. I skip forward there and catch up on this all then. 3:13 p.m. I'm catching up in this now. See, I knew I would eventually get there. I'm hopeful the Enyaq will get a few members of the cabinet into EVs. 90% of them drive Skodas. That's true. Not Jackie Healy-Ray. One of the Healy-Rays drives a Skoda Octavia because I actually overtook him on the N7 one morning. He's a very, very slow driver. Probably doing his cabinet meeting on the wheel. Like the Americans, the way they get those. I saw it when I was in Texas a couple of years back. I saw ads on television, permanent pharmaceutical ads on television. But in the middle of this was one of those infomercials that comes on to try and sell you something. So this guy is sitting in his set. He's on the set on stage and he's got his stuff and he goes, "Oh, I got a deal for you. This is the best deal I ever had." And he pulls the steering wheel off the floor and puts it up in front of him. It's on a sort of a plinth. And the camera cuts looking over his shoulder at the steering wheel. And on it, he puts this tray on the edges of it and just hangs the tray. And he goes, "Look at this thing. You can continue computing." And he fires up this laptop on the tray. So you could drive and type on the laptop. Like the laptop was on the steering wheel. It's just insane. And you're looking at it going, this is legal? So it can be kind of a funny thing, all right, to see the way certain countries behave towards stuff. Because in America, of course, when you're on a highway or freeway, It's almost straight, like almost perfectly straight onto the horizon. You can see, you don't need to worry about turning corners around that. Kenneth Heaslip has paid some money into Super Chat to say, hi, looking at a change, an Audi A4, A6 or BMW 320 M Sport, which is the most reliable and what specs would I go for diesel model? So reliability is a question, not really. When you're buying a brand new car, they're much of a muchness. You can look up all kinds of reliability studies and recall studies and all that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, they're all pretty much the same. The cheaper one to service over the other, I don't mean cheaper, but the better value service comes from Audi than from BMW. BMW service is very, very expensive in my opinion. I don't know whether they do more work or what, but they seem to be very expensive to service. Spec in BMW 320 M Sport, and you just get you're buying the M Sport pack, so you're going to get everything you need in that single pack. Once it's an automatic, you're okay. In the A6, if you're going for that, go for the Avant version if you can, and the same for the 3 Series, believe it or not. Go Avant if you possibly can. They're worth the Avant is worth it. Space alone is brilliant, but you'll actually get money back out of trade-in on those too. The Butcher says, with you saying that there's too many cars on the road, taking too long to get to work with traffic, that's true. Get yourself a motorbike. Doesn't have to be a huge power, just enough to get you from A to B at 100 to 120 kilometers an hour. Insurance is cheaper as you only insure yourself and not the other 4 empty seats in the car, and the tax is €88 on any engine size. There you are now. And funny, when you go overseas, if you go to somewhere like Holland where you think the bicycle is king, it is king, and the way they've laid out the road system works, the bicycle is there. But it's funny to be a bicycle on the side of the road and beside you is a scooter. It's right there beside you on the bike lane. They're allowed to use the bike lanes as well. It's kind of weird. John is giving another $5. Since you're in Ireland, is Stonehenge worth going to, or is it a bunch of hype? Stonehenge is not in Ireland, it's in England, and it's pretty hyped up. It's a lot of stones standing in a field. Kind of once you've seen it, you've seen it. You kind of go and look at Stonehenge and go, wow, look at all the stones. I wonder how they put the stone up on top of that. That's great. Right, let's go. And there's a gift shop. That's about it. If you're coming to Ireland, you need to go to something, if you want to go to something ancient that's older than Stonehenge, it's called Newgrange. It's up, it's kind of close to the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland. It's on the way up there. That's worth a look. You have to pay into it. It's a bit hard to get up to and into, but once you get there, it's worth it. It's good, because it really does go into, it feels like something that came out of millions of years ago. It's actually older than the Egyptian pyramids, which the Egyptian pyramids took 900 years to build. Some guy told me the other day about aliens helping to build Egyptian pyramids. Egyptian pyramids were built over 900 years. It's not aliens, it's just humans doing what humans do, which is just go, right, let's build something, and they just build it, and that's it, with the tech that they have. Where are we? Scott Joseph says, hi there, what's the average price of a petrol car? Anywhere between 18,000 and 35 for a standard kind of ordinary petrol car. If you go up, Porsche and all that sort of stuff, but the other end would be another story entirely. But kind of about I'd say about 16 to 18 grand would be the cheapest, like Sandero or something in that Dacia end of stuff would be the cheapest ones. The Butcher says, even 600cc bikes get you 50 miles per gallon, 300cc 70 miles per gallon. By the way, I changed my license recently to a card version. I had a pink license and I went to a card one. So I got I went into a gulag. There was an office where I had to make an appointment to go and get my license changed. I sat down in front of a machine. It was stinking. The whole room was horrible. Just dirty, just used, It just wasn't a nice place to be. And got my picture taken and done all that sort of stuff, and they sent me out a new license, and suddenly I'm licensed to drive motorbikes on my license. It's great. That's deadly. It's very nice of them, actually, fairness, because I never had that before. I had tractors, and I used to have motorbikes years ago. See, my first license had motorbikes on it, because that's the way the old pink license used to be. They give you scooters up to, was it 50cc or something, scooters as standard on your bike, on your thing. But now you can ride motorbikes. It's deadly. Andy McPhee says, here now, Bob Flavin, that Amazon Prime Video has got a lot better. A serious amount of 4K movies included. Watch part of subscription. Search for UHD Prime movies. Tons of documentaries too. I could find none of that when I had the thing. I must go back into it again. I had a month's trial or something on it. The Vu Bear, afternoon Bob, you're late. Where were you? You only answered, he said at 3:20, like. What happened? My cat got hit by a car, says Scott Joseph. And there's a whole of emoji things. Okay. Not much I can do about that one. Keith Colton, I've a 1986 VW bus with over 500,000 kilometres. It's on a second engine, but could do with a bit of an engine rebuild to stop it drinking oil. Yeah, the VW, all those old VW buses all ate oil was the biggest problem with them. They also leak just standing still. They just leak. All the seals leak on them. It's just the way they were built. They're a funny old engine. I met a man the other day who has a split screen Volkswagen camper van. Not the camper van, the day van. You know the one with the kind of pop-up side roof on it? And it sounded funny when it was coming at me, and I asked what it was in it, and he said it was a Jetta engine. He put a 1.9 TDI engine into the back of it instead of the old petrol. So the put thing is gone, but the car is actually keeps going and is able to go at speed and everything. John Hickey, would you buy a Toyota Land Cruiser or a Land Rover Discovery 5? I'd buy a Land Cruiser. I met a brilliant guy in Morocco when I was over there testing the Ford Ranger Raptor, and he was a lovely guy. I was just chatting. He was serving the drinks and stuff, and I ended up chatting for a while. And he said to me at one point, he said, I trust 3 things in my life: Allah, myself, and my Land Cruiser. That was his answer. That was pretty much the best answer I had heard for years. Land Cruiser will continue to go when all its zombie apocalypse vehicle. It won't stop. Land Rover is very good. The Discovery 5 is it's a lovely thing to hoover about in, but no doubt over time it is definitely going to break. Dynamic frame. The tight trousered figure behind you, Bob, is Vince McMahon resting figure. Oh way! Had one when I was a kid and had a flashback. Get out! That's Vince McMahon. I wouldn't have thought that. Very poor likeness. He's the guy that comes march on the stage. He still uses a meme now, isn't he? No. John Hickey says commercial, by the way. Who was John Hickey's? Oh yeah, commercial Land Cruiser. Yeah, I still go Land Cruiser, to be honest with you. Yeah, the Land Cruiser Amazon is where the real money's at, boys. You know, Land Cruiser Amazon's like 130 grand or something. Serious money, yeah. Dynamic frame. Oh no, I did it one. Alan Acaster. There's a guy on YouTube, Sweden, I think, who has been looking at his battery loss on the Outlander PHEV. He's picking some interesting things about it. Worth a look. I'll have a gander at that. After Cormac Kicky says Amarok V6 or Land Cruiser for 35 grand. Amarok V6 is very good. It's such a cool car as well. Land Cruiser is also cool in its own little way. The better looking of the two is the Amarok, the more sure-footed one, the one that is pretty good at as a Toyota Land Cruiser. It really is. Also, have a quick look at Ford Rangers. They're really nice. The old big engines in them was very good. The 3.2. The modern kind of 2-litre one, not so gone on that now, but the looks of them are good. I can't even pronounce Octane something or other. Hi, Brooder. I need what? I'm Octane from Morocco. I needed the job driver contact. Good man. I'm glad for you. Andy McAfee said, 6 mini videos on the channel, including EV1. You still answering each other's questions, right? Okay. Thank you. Card Plays is timed out. Right. I don't know who Card Plays is. Never heard that one before. I want to work with you. Good man. I'm going to ban you as well now. For the crack, right? Put you in timeout. Because I know it's going to go wrong. Owen McDonald. Emissions could be helped by driver education. I see people park their cars but the engine is running while they finish their phone call or gather up their possession before leaving the car. I know, and if you tell them like I did the other day, will you just turn off your engine? It's annoying the hell out of me. They get all uptight. Why do you want me to turn off my engine? Because it's going tick. Stop the bloody engine. Like, you're not going anywhere. Sibling Wars says, hi Bob. Sibling Wars, good for you. Skoda has adaptive lighting option 2, says Andy McVie. Does. Kenneth Heaslip would love advice getting into an Audi A6 or Audi A4 or BMW 320 M Sport. What should I go for? Did I answer that already? No. Guy testing Outlander. Did that as well. Unplugged DV is that guy's testing his PHEV. Remember, any of those things that are testing individual cars are testing the individual car in front of them. They're not doing a broad spectrum, proper, rated version of that. So just be aware that just testing a single individual car and the results can vary quite considerably. Paul Fun, I drove in Ireland once. Scary for me, the roads are not wide enough. God, the roads are plenty wide here. If you want to, you should come over here and see some of the lads you see on TikTok that are absolutely barreling along a back road and not a bother on them. Cross says that carving out a section of the headlights thing is available as an option on many VW Group EVs, including Enyaq, called Matrix LED headlights. It is, but they don't all operate quite as well as each other. Some of them are really good at it, some of them are not so brilliant at it. The best one I ever used was on a 7 Series. It did this absolutely perfect box around approaching cars, and it did it flawlessly. Now I know it's 7 Series, should do it, but it just, some are better than others, and they're not all identical, they're not all from the same company, so they don't all work the same. Phone, we got the details on the Carrot Playas, who is a mad joke. I'm still going on through the list here all a second. Here we are. Oh, McDonald. Emissions could be helped by driver education. I did that one already. Why am I reading some of these twice for some reason? Sibling wars. Would love advice. Logan did that too, yeah. What's your opinion on hybrid cars? Hybrids are okay. They have their place. I wouldn't say, if you're going to look for the EV revolution in a hybrid, you're not going to get it, right? Hybrids, they're efficient in their own sort of way, but you have to learn how to drive a hybrid. Whereas with an EV, it could directly replace your petrol car and it'll be done. You'd be done with it and you don't have to worry about it. Hybrids give a reassurance though in the back of people's minds that they're not going to run out of electricity. That's the thing that they prey on, that hybrids prey on. PHEVs are another version of hybrid, but you plug in the car to charge. So you charge up the battery and run for a certain distance on just electricity, but it's really quite a short distance if I'm honest. I'm going to give another mention to Noah, our sponsor for today. You can sign up, please do. It supports the channel, this channel, if you sign up with Noah, right? And so what I've done is got you a 50% discount on Noah. The link is in the comments down below. You will see it there. It's a 50% discount on a year subscription, which is very good. It's half price essentially. It's 120 quid is what it normally costs. You get it for 60 for the whole year, and you can consume the news in audio format. Retrospectively news is not breaking news. They don't break a news story during the day. They digest news stories from across the world and give you the sources of those news stories. They give you a proper insight about things happening in the background of the news story. So it's definitely worth you signing up. So please click on the link down below and sign up for Noah app and tell them I sent you. If you click the link, you don't have to worry about that. If you go to the newsoveraudio.com website, you can still check out there. Just use the code Flavin instead, and you still get a 50% discount. And give it to all your friends. Maybe other people are already signed up to it. They can sign up to it as well, like on their subscription thing. Slug of coffee down before going any further. What's your opinion on big Teslas? What's a big Tesla? You mean a Model X? All Teslas are pretty good in their own way. If you've never driven a sports car, I mean like a Ferrari or Lamborghini or any of those kind of cars, Teslas seem like a remarkable thing to do. But actually, if you've driven any of the kind of sports cars, you realise that a Tesla is just really quiet, but does essentially the same thing. Where are we after that? Paul Fun is from Toronto. That's good. Scott Joseph, I just followed you on TikTok. Thank you, Scott. You're very kind. Alan says, Ari, first cars. I bought my 18-year-old a Fiesta 98 brake horsepower 12. My insurance with a black box around £650. That's all right, though. It's £650. That's about €720 or thereabouts. That's not bad for a first-time driver. Like, are you insured on it, or is he insured on it on his own? I mean. Eric Carter, solid advice from Bob on social media. We all need to give ourselves some space. Yeah, take a break from it. Just step back. Just stop doing it for a couple of hours. Stop checking in all of the different accounts for a couple of hours. Turn off notifications on your phone. If you have an Apple phone, all you got to do is sweep down and open up this screen and turn on that Do Not Disturb mode, which when the screen is locked like that, it calls the notifications will be blocked. You're still getting the notifications, but it just doesn't flash your screen up. It's brilliant. I mean, it's bloody brilliant. I do it at night time, I do it at daytime, and you can allow people through that block as well if you want to do it that way. But certainly take a break from social media, because it will drive your mental... You think everything's against you all of a sudden, or you think the whole world is ending. I talked to a perfectly logical journalist the other day. A good journalist. A journalist who's been a journalist for a long time. And he reckons we're going to have World War III. And I look at social media and go, what? Where are you getting that from? Like, I know there's a bit of trouble across the world, but I don't think it's going to be World War III. And after a 20-minute conversation, I realised it was just coming from Facebook. Like, he just spent so much time sitting around looking at Facebook that was where his brain was going. And Google was starting to show him videos of the same sort of thing, and it was just really getting on him. So, you got to clear out your brain every once in a while. M. Joe says Tesla integrates its charging system with onboard route planning into the car really well. Are there any other manufacturers who do this as good as Tesla? More of them as they start to arrange. So Volkswagen have done a thing with Ionity where they can do, they'll show you the local chargers that are there. What Tesla has always done is just route you by a supercharger. So they installed the superchargers really even before the cars were on sale. If you think about our superchargers, we now have, is it 2 or 3 of them in the country? There's one up north somewhere, and then there's one down towards Cork, and one near me here, half an hour from the house is another Tesla charger, or one in Limerick, not Cork. I used the one in Limerick, it was pretty good. But what they do is just route you by them. So even if you set a destination that is further away than the car is capable of covering, it will just route by a supercharger and continue on its journey once supercharged. So yeah, it's pretty good. They are currently the king of long distance driving is Tesla for electric cars, but they will be caught for sure. You can bet that all the car companies are now looking at the way Tesla do it, and they go, well, that's got to be, we're definitely doing it that way. That's for sure. Paul Fun says, in Ireland, I can't be a passenger. It's not so much the driving on the opposite side of the road, it's the lanes that seem to be meant for 1.5 cars. That's about right. See, our country's so old that we built roads from dirt tracks where horses and people with just footpaths, and then that became a sort of a road for carts with grass in the middle, which you can still find those roads for sure. Some of those roads are listed as like B roads with grass down the centre of them. I know, because I was down in Clare and I set the destination on the sat nav into California on my Google sat nav though through CarPlay. And it took me across the top of this mountain with grass roads. I was going, why are we this? We're supposed to be able to see the sea. What's going on here? And there was no sea. So it was bringing me right in the straightest line it could across tiny little roads in a great big California. Isn't the Yaris made by Mazda? No, Yaris is Toyota. Paul Fun, is there a term for high-tech AI results confirmation bias? Yeah, well, confirmation bias is a slightly different thing. Yeah, that's confirmation bias is seeking out things that prove you are right. That's essentially what confirmation bias does. So you're what you're saying is black is white, and then you go about proving that by finding someone else who can say black is white, and then that's how you get it right. Cross13 says there are still substantial issues with Tesla's onboard route planning. One of the big ones is that you can only set one destination. You can't have via routes unless it's supercharger. Yeah, that would be one thing. The other thing is there's no Apple CarPlay or anything in it, so it's hard to bring your destinations in. Now, that might be different for press cars, so don't get angry at me that it does take in your... Of course it does. Press cars are weird. They're kind of locked down. It's not just Tesla press cars, they all are. Often the apps and things that users actually use, I don't get to see. I can't turn on or log into because the car doesn't belong to me, so you can't make it that way. I am trying to get that changed. Keith Colton says, really easy to fit a Subaru Boxer into the older VW buses. I have videos of Maddie just putting STI engines in them. There's actually a really good video that Johnny Smith sent to me. Was it Johnny Smith sent to me? It may have been someone else sent it to me. But anyway, there was a video I saw the other day of a drag racing Volkswagen split screen thing with huge big tyres on the back. It looked deadly, massive exhausting on the back. It looked brilliant. Now, stupid, you wouldn't drive it on the road, but deadly. All talking about Bob and gang. Till next time, I have to go. Chat soon, said Brian Donald. Thanks, Brian. Karma Kiki, is the 530D worth the money over a 520D? Performance wise, yes. Economy wise, not really. 520 and 530 would do probably near as makes a difference, the same fuel economy. But for economy or for power and for ability of overtaking ability and stuff, 530 is brilliant. The old 535D was an amazing car. Love that yoke. Alan says the insurance of my lad's false economy to have them as a name driver in insurance means he can build a no claims straight away and get the black box, keeps him legal. That's true. No claims bonus is always going to stand to you as a first time driver. Lads, it is now 4 o'clock. We have made it. We have gotten through the first of the autumn season and the autumn run of the new Sunday service. Thank you very much for joining me. We've already had 2,500 people watch this one today, so thank you all, everybody. Please support the Noah app if you can, please. It'd be brilliant. I really want to get a sponsor onto the channel who can stay with us and grow with us and become part of the group here. I may even have the journalists from Noah come onto the channel and have a chat to you about stuff as well, which is always good, because I really do want to support journalism in all its ways, and I think this is a modern version of old type journalism. It's a real modern version of that and integrates into your life into a way that I didn't expect. I thought podcast was going to keep that going, but actually this is a much better way, because this isn't some random person sitting down with a mic and just making a podcast. This is real journalism happening right there in your ear holes, and they're very good and they keep the communications up. So please support me if you can. Sign up for Noah. It's only 60 quid for an entire year of journalism for those guys, and you'll love it. I promise. Everything I've done has been absolutely brilliant. But we're back, and I'll be back next Sunday with another Sunday service. Thank you again for joining me this week. You can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me wherever. Don't expect an instantaneous response. I get too many millions messages now to do the instant response, but I do try and get back to everybody within 48 hours whenever I can. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, now TikTok. TikTok is growing substantially, so I'll be spending a bit of time there. And you will see the Audi RS7 on Tuesday on TikTok. I'll show that up there. But thank you very much for joining me today. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.